lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. The lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
From Charlotte Motor Speedway, it's Elimination Week here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, as we are now in the third week of the round of 12 in our 2024 playoffs. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the World Center of Racing here on the East Coast. Of course, we're just in the shadow of all that is NASCAR, the world headquarters of so many of our race teams, but tonight it is the headquarters of a battle sure to bring smoke, fire, flame, and temperature as we get underway tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 76 degrees in the stands right now, 96 on the asphalt, with Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank you for making us a part of your evening and for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Thank you for tuning in with us, as we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Alan, here we are, just about a minute and a half left in qualifying, and this place is about to get crazy tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. 109 laps here around us. I call this a short track of road course racing. There's a lot of actions. There's a lot of points where you can't mess up, and you better be on your game. It's going to be elbows up, and you better have studied in geometry class, because you're going to use a lot of geometry to make these corners as straight as possible.
You can say that again, and I'll tell you what, man, you know, this is one of those racetracks that we come to, you know, for the Roval, and it really throws a lot of people off. We'll get a chance to ride around with one of our drivers at some point tonight, I'm sure. But, you know, what's interesting about this is that it's half oval, half road. Of course, NASCAR turns 1 and 2 are almost normal. NASCAR turns 3 and 4 are almost normal. But, of course, we've got a couple of different little, you know, changes in the racetrack. In fact, let's pull some of those up as we get ready to roll here. Oh, and it won't let me. There we go. Of course, coming in here, this would technically be considered turn number 1 as we get underway here. As the warm-up about to be underway. There's the end of pit road, and you can see just here in the middle of your screen, there's the start-finish line. So this turn in and of itself is already going to be interesting. We're going to see a lot of drivers making some mistakes tonight, you know, and no matter how skilled some of our drivers are, mistakes will be made, feelings will be hurt, and that's just all there is to it. There's nothing that you're going to do to change that. It's just the way that it is. Of course, we can also see here a little bit of a different, as we try to get over top of some of these folks. Here's a bus stop that's built right into what's usually, you know, the front stretch here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, now this bus stop, they're going to come out of turn 4, and if they're not going down pit road, they're going to have to come through there over top of these two curbs and then make their way back onto the front stretch that we can see right here. Next kind of interesting thing, speaking of a bus stop, is a full-on chicane on the backstretch. And as we go high and above this here on the backstretch, you can see you're going to come out of turn number 2 onto a nice little straightaway and right into this bus stop. And in fact, I see a couple of drivers just getting ready to try to make it down here. In fact, let's go on board right now with Ron Fitting. And here's Ron Fitting. Now, currently he's on the road portion of the course. He's going to come up this little bit of an incline here. And we can see as he gets ready to shoot off and out of there, it wraps itself around one more time. And now he's back out on what would normally be NASCAR turns 1 and 2. Now, the interesting thing, Alan, that we see more often than not in this racetrack is right here as they come in here. Look, 5, 4, 3, 2, get on the binders and slow this thing down. We're going to see a lot of drivers almost overshooting this chicane in the backstretch, right?
Exactly, and it's where you're going to be careful. Because right when you come off of NASCAR 1 and 2, you almost got to be ready to brake. I don't even think you're going to get up to 5th gear. Now here's the other part too, is you got a downshift coming off of 3 and 4, and you got to hit this other chicane here about 2nd gear. Now, you're going to want to ride that outside wall all the way around here, get on the binders, because if not, you're going to go straight. And if you lock these cars up, you can't even turn them, you lose all steering.
Yeah, that becomes absolute game over, that's for sure, as now we come into the carousel where we had first picked up with Ron. So he's got himself through a nice, comfortable lap here at Charlotte. I mean, he's not breaking any records, that's for sure. But and a lot of these drivers, they just, for lack of a better term, are not road course drivers, and there's nothing wrong with that, all things considered. One of the other things I want to touch on tonight, Alan, as we get ready to roll here with just a few moments left in the warm-up segment, is, of course, our playoff picture. Now, we've seen the playoff picture multiple times. We know who's in it, right? But here's the interesting thing is there we go. Sean Rogers comes in with a full head of steam, 9 points ahead of Neil Pearson. Now, Neil Pearson is a strong driver. We're going to see that tonight as it looks like he's going to be starting on the outside of row number 1. Bobby Anderson picked up the win last week and moves himself into third. The drivers to keep an eye on tonight are going to be drivers like Kavaja Holt and Tane Hodison. Those two, right now, Tane Hodison is just 3 points ahead of Keith Long. And, let's see. No, I lied. He's 17 points ahead of Keith Long. And Keith Long is only 1 point ahead of Matt Long and John Wilco. So that being said, those drivers are the ones, your Wilco and your Longs, they're the ones that really want to have a good night here at Charlotte. I mean, that's an uphill battle, Alan.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And so here we are, once again, and I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Last week at Talladega was an equalizer. This is an even bigger equalizer. As the only person I would equate to a road course ringer is Neil Pearson, the modern day Silver Fox. As he cut his teeth on the G8 supercars on the service, I'm sure, and I think he's gonna have an easier time than a lot of these guys.
Yeah, you absolutely have that right, Alan. I mean, Neil Pearson is one of these drivers, as we see Paul Hill go purple here and lay fast time down in the warm-up segment with just 30 seconds to go. I think Paul and Neil are going to be those drivers that we're going to have no choice but to keep a close eye on tonight. The Jacksonville, Florida native, Paul Hill, already had this date circled on his calendar. He knew that this is the one where he really needs to step up and shine. And, I mean, right now he sits 5th position on our point standings coming into tonight, and he's just 5 points behind Chris Davis. So that being said, he's got to make a decision whether or not to pull the trigger and get her done, or if he's going to lay back and just hope to goodness that, Papineau, Kavaja Holt, and Tane Hodison don't find that extra gear.
Well, we're going to find out here in 109 short laps.
Yeah, 109 laps the total distance tonight as we get ready to saddle up here and get these drivers into their race cars. As we get ready to look on down toward Paul Hill and Ryan Fisher. There they are. That's your pole sitter, Paul Hill, here in the Dent Slayer number 6 Ford Mustang. He's going to be joined in the front row by Ryan Fisher. Neil Pearson and Tane Hodison are going to occupy row number 2, while Matt Long and Sean Rogers will be in row 3. Row 4 is Chris Davis and Tanner Marty, with Chad Sander and Bobby Anderson holding things together here at the end of the top 10 to get this race started. Larry Miles, one of our neighbors from the north, he's going to sit alongside Austin Call in row number 6, as row 7 is going to be featuring Chris Custer and Eric Papineau. Keith Long and Ron Fitting are going to be starting 15th and 16th, with Chris Claude, chief cook and bottle washer here in the SNN Family of Racing Series. He's going to be sitting to the inside of Brian Nunemacher. Jeff Carson and Kavaja Holt will make up your top 20, while Cody McCorkle and Alex Prince will start in row number 11. Row 2 will feature Ryan Samuelson and John Wilco, as Diego Rodriguez and Logan Giesbrecht will be starting off in row number 13. And looks like Timothy Cook may not be taking the start, but if he is, he would be starting shotgun on the field tonight. Stage break's going to be at lap number 25 and lap number 50, with, of course, then those 59 laps to the end.
Absolutely, and this is the elimination. So we're going to find out who's going to go on to that round of 8 here tonight. Who's going to put themselves one step closer to Phoenix? Is, speaking of elimination, if you're Father Frank, you are crying in your beer, or you're going to be hitting the golf course really soon, as the Mets, or not the Mets, but the Dodgers bested the Padres in 5 games.
Yeah, it's a sad night there for the San Diego Padres. It's also a sad night if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, no.
Did you see the score?
Not yet, but I picked Detroit.
Well, you're welcome. I think they covered the spread.
Hey, there's $80 on the line. I had to.
I think Detroit covered the spread so well that it's like thick butter over top of popcorn.
Checking in the YouTube.com live chat, Rob Yost says, I'm a lot safer up here.
I don't blame him. Yeah, by the way, right now with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys are trailing 47-9.
I'm a step closer to $80.
I support the Dallas Cowboys, but I hate them so much.
Nonetheless, here they come getting down to that back straightaway. And Dave, let's not forget, if you miss that bus stop there on the back straightaway, it's gonna be a time penalty.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's a 1 second slowdown, but that 1 second can cost you a lot. And if you get all the way through there, you're looking at, up to 2.5 seconds of penalty time to slow down and get back under control. Amanda Price in here cheering on Sean Rogers. As always, we want to welcome Amanda in right now. The iRacing.com pace car bringing us into turn number 3. The lights are off. The drivers are going to check those belts and check those gloves one more time before we turn them loose here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're on the Roval tonight. Turn 4 is suddenly turn number 14. Pace car coming toward pit road. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab your honey buns and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime! Green flag in the air, turning them loose as the Stacy Strong Cup Series live from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Here they go, down to turn number 1, making it nice and easy. Nice and easy, clean and green. Here they go, now we're on the infield part of the race course. And right now they're going to run this course about second gear right through here. Not getting up, they're going to make it high, wide, and handsome. And they're going to use every bit of this race course.
Tane Hodison was starting to peek out and he thought better of it, but now he falls out of line again. He's looking to the inside now of Ryan Fisher. It's going to be a little bit until we start to see, which one of these drivers is going to pull away from the field. I know on Thursday night, you and I had a race. Well, actually, Jordan and I had a race on Thursday night to call for the Racers Elite Cup Series, and there were 2 cars left on the lead lap here at Charlotte.
I know one of them wasn't me, as I was holding a lot of people up.
Yeah,
not my best moment.
I saw the only car that was left was Andrew Teft.
Here we go. There's Neil Pearson in that number 58 car, the modern day Silver Fox.
Everybody getting through that front chicane nice and safely. As we go back up to Neil Pearson. Now we're going to see him work through this little area here right in the middle of the racetrack.
Whoa! Paul Hill goes off the race course. The number 44 car is Sean Rockin' Rogers out of Beast Mode Motorsports. 30 miles, doing it, getting around there quite nicely.
Doing it Canadian style.
Hey, they love Canadian bacon.
It's ham. Just call it what it is.
I've been in arguments with pizza places over that.
Yeah, it becomes an entire debate.
Meanwhile, here we are. Here's that bus stop there at turn number, and down in the back straightaway. You can't mess that one up, because you will get an off-track penalty for that. Once again, Neil Pearson doing Neil Pearson type things. Up there in the front, Larry Miles up 2 spots, riding in that ninth position. These guys are going to get spread out and cranked up to crazy. As we are currently watching Larry Miles get around this 17-turn road course.
It's time to crack open a little Ghost Energy.
I can't do Ghost Energy.
Love it. Tonight is the Red Sour Patch.
I used to do 2 5-hour energy shots and a Monster Energy. I called it Liquid Crack.
That seems to be maybe a problem, especially if you have a heart condition.
I didn't have one, but I probably had one at the end of that. Robert Yo saying that he bought the Spam Maple. You ever had Spam, Dave?
I've had Spam, yes.
Now, growing up, we had Spam and macaroni and cheese, which was delicious.
No.
Look, I've also had macaroni and cheese with hot dogs cut up in them too.
Now that's a quality item.
Oh, served by Dagers around the world.
Paul Hill just laid fast time down at 1 minute 20.04 seconds. So as he's on his recovery drive to get back to the leaders. Paul Hill running in 9th position now, just ahead of Larry Miles. Not sure what might have pulled him off of here. I'm going to go back and look. Oh, looks like he may have had himself an event. And here is Paul Hill just a few moments ago. Paul Hill running in on Neil Pearson. He goes to check up, and bad things happen. Boom, went the dynamite.
The proverbial dynamite went kaboom. You know, Neil Pearson can hustle a car around a road course just like anybody else. I would equivalent Neil Pearson to be. If I'm looking for a road course ringer, I'm calling Neil Pearson. Like, hey, come road this road course for me.
Yeah, this man out of Perth, Australia is just incredible. Now, he hasn't had a very long career here in the Sunday Night NASCAR family of racing series. In fact, let's take a quick peek at some of those stats over here. Of course, currently running P2 in our standings. Out of 24 starts, so not a full season. He has an average start of 6.4. Now, he led, 556 total laps. And looking to see here, 7 wins on the season, so 7 out of 24. That's almost a third of the races that he's won this season.
Exactly. And so here's the other thing too. If you look right now, these guys are, just taking their time, and they're just doing it. They're having a good time out here. They're being smart. And a lot of these positions are going to be made up not on the infield section, but on the NASCAR turns and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that's where we're going to see a lot of those moves. We saw that on Thursday night in the Racers Elite Cup Series, and we're definitely going to see some more of that here. I mean, even as we look out the rear of Neil Pearson back at Ryan Fisher, Fisher's not able to get a whole, real good run on him. He's going to have to get him in turns 1 or 2 or down the backstretch.
And Neil Pearson, though, he's one of those guys that not only can get it done under road course, but he's definitely had a couple oval ones to his credit too.
Yeah, he's definitely picked up enough wins on the season. In fact, let's just see here. He won at Bristol, Texas, Michigan, the Glen, Kansas. I'd say he has a type.
Samantha Malloy checking in, saying great job, Octane. Whoa, Kane Hodgson gets a little over those bumps, not at the right angle, and he's going to get a little wobble wobble going on.
Just remember, weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
They don't. No, they just cut Florida in half.
Ain't that good?
Want to let everybody know their thoughts and prayers go out to those affected by Hurricane Helene and Milton down there in Florida. Still thinking about you. As recovery efforts still ongoing.
You know, I gotta say, I didn't think Milton was going to be that vicious of a storm because when I hear the name Milton, I'm not thinking tough guy.
I'm not either. I mean, so if they have a storm named Carlton, is it doing the Carlton dance as it makes lamps off?
Yes. 1,000%.
Put on some Barry Manilow when Carlton makes landfall. There's Diego Rodriguez in the number 34 car. And Diego Rodriguez is another one of those guys that excel on road courses. And Thursday night he got himself in a bad way, but nonetheless, still made a pretty good showing at the Roval on Thursday night. I feel like Diego Rodriguez used that as a test night anyhow.
Paul Hill just laid down another fast time. Now he's beat his own fast time. 1 minute 19.96 seconds, so a tenth faster than the last one.
Yeah, that Dead Slayer is making a dent in this field. He is currently back up to 7th. Was battling Paul Hill or Neil Pearson for the lead, and ended up spinning out. And look out for mayhem like Paul Hill is. He's gonna dent Slayer his way all the way back up to the front.
Here they come down the backstretch. This is going to be Neil Pearson coming right past us. Look at the way that he's whipping it through this chicane as he goes blowing right on by our camera. And here they all seem to be cutting a lot of this right out of there as we'll get this camera to float up just a little bit higher. Everybody doing their best to maybe stay on that paint to some degree. Usually that paint is just enough, just slick enough where it, it can upset your car, but apparently not so bad right now.
Yeah, that's a good looking view of that bus stop.
Made it myself.
Hey. Number
Speaking of
62 car, John Wilco.
Speaking of weather, McAdoo, Pennsylvania's John Wilco with the Weather Channel on his Chevrolet Camaro tonight. Get your local on the 8s.
Yeah. Back when I was a kid, I was always like, hey, I'm going to be on the Weather Channel one day. So I would mimic the Weather Channel and run my own forecast.
For being the Weather Channel, their website's awful.
I swear by the app on my Apple iPhone, though.
Nope, I am an AccuWeather guy.
Oh, goodness gracious. When that storm was coming through, I asked Matt Mettler one thing. It says, Jim Cantori down there. So when there's a storm, there's two people. If you see Jim Cantori in your neighborhood or in your state, hang on. And then Reed Timmer is the other one during the summer.
Yep. And, the other thing is, if you don't listen to what Jim Cantori says, you're going to wind up seeing Jesus a lot sooner than you thought you were.
Exactly. Especially in the snowstorms, too. If I see Jim Cantori in my neighborhood, I know I'm screwed.
Did you ever see the video of him catching the thunder snow?
I did.
I happened to be that night. I happened to be watching the Weather Channel because, of course, it was affecting us here in the Northeast. And he was down in Washington, and the thunder snow was. I mean, first off, it was cool. Don't get me wrong, but when it happened outside, I've never seen a grown man be more excited than Jim Cantori.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what we're talking about, go look it up.
Search Jim Cantori thunderstorm.
Oh my goodness. I've never seen someone geek out over thunder snow like Jim Cantori. But here we are working lap number 11, and as we're looking at the Candyman, Bobby Anderson. I think he's riding an Interstate Batteries car again.
Sure is. He looks more like Bobby Labonte.
I mean, Bobby Labonte never drove a Ford.
I say he looks more like. I didn't say he looks just like.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I guess Labonte had what? Chevrolet and Pontiac.
Chevrolet, Pontiac, and then I think he drove a Toyota briefly.
No, I thought he was gone right before Toyota came.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's right.
I'll tell you what, back in the 90s, that Pontiac, when they went to the Grand Prix body style, that was a cool looking body style on those stock cars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think they were, those and when Dodge came in the early 2000s, I think those were the two coolest body styles.
You're not wrong on that one.
And I'll tell you this, too. The worst thing they could have done was decided that the Taurus was what Ford was going to race as, because Taurus is not what I think of when I think speed and performance, because my grandfather had a Taurus. Here's a man that didn't go over 52.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, they raced Buicks for crying out loud back in the 80s. We're still watching Bobby Anderson come through the infield section. He is still high, wide, and handsome. Being smooth around these corners, and that's what's going to take to make time here, is keep it on the... You know, a lot of these guys went straight into survival mode.
You know what, and I don't blame them for going into survival mode. At a place like this, especially when you know that you're not going to be a dominant driver, get out of the way. Get out of the way, let Neil Pearson go up here and do what Neil Pearson does. You look here at the timing line on the left-hand side of your screen. By the way, we're about 13 laps away from the end of stage number 1. But you look at this timing line, and I mean, you've got a second back to Fisher, Hodison, and then all of a sudden the big fall-off is to Paul Hill, who, I mean, and keep in mind, Paul Hill has been driving forward through the field for the last handful of laps. And now, Paul Hill's looking at, you know what, 6 seconds between himself and Matt Long?
Yeah, hold my beer. Goodness gracious, this is almost insanity.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so here's the thing, is I was talking to my dad the other night, and he, you know, what's funny is in dirt late model racing, whenever, like last year, RTJ and Bobby Pierce did great things in these Longhorn chassis. And this is, so Bobby Labonte actually started Longhorn chassis. Him and Texas Terry, they started Longhorn chassis. They eventually sold to Kevin Rumley and Steve Harpin. So here comes Ricky Thornton Jr. and Bobby Pierce just winning everything last year. So the way the chassis program works in dirt late model racing is if you see these guys winning in Longhorns, everybody will sell all their other stuff and buy Longhorn cars. If you see the Rocket guys dominating everything, they'll buy Rockets, so on and so forth. But right now, everybody is maybe 1, 5, 6 Toyotas in the whole field. Everybody else is blue ovals and bow ties.
Hey, listen, there's something to be said when you look down at the field, and even tonight, as we can pull these logos up over here on the left-hand side of your screen. Tonight is probably the most balanced that I've ever seen the manufacturer spread in this league, because usually we're very Chevy heavy in this league with a few blue ovals and next to no Toyotas, and this almost seems to be like a well-balanced breakfast.
Good on the bowels.
Yeah, it's well-balanced.
Hey, look, I'm a Raisin Bran kind of guy just like everybody else.
I made oatmeal this morning.
Ooh.
I made oatmeal this morning with peanut butter, raisins, and honey.
Yeah, I can turn oatmeal, which is relatively healthy for you, into the unhealthiest breakfast you'll ever see in your whole life. As I will put sugar, milk, butter, and syrup in it.
Did you say syrup?
Yes, I put maple syrup in oatmeal.
Not even. Folks, this is what the beginning of an aneurysm sounds like. Not even honey?
Nope, maple syrup. I go straight for the kill.
Yeah, you listened to Elf one too many times when that's a food group of its own.
I mean, I wouldn't even tell you what I did to General Tso's chicken.
I'm going to put my ghost energy back down before I throw it. And I'm only going to ask you this one time. What do you do to General Tso?
Oh, I get me a bowl full of ranch.
Folks, I know you can't see what we're Alan and I can see each other on a webcam feed. And hearing that about General Tso makes me want to put my tongue in an electrical socket.
No. You gotta try it. Hear me out.
No, I don't gotta. They don't. That's not even Chinese at that point. They don't have ranch dressing in China.
I'm a connoisseur of all things Hidden Valley, okay?
I don't think they have Paul Newman in China. Ranch dressing in General Tso's chicken.
You gotta try it. I'm telling you, it's legit.
I don't think it's legit, my friend. Uh-oh. Trouble for Sean Rogers.
This could have major point implications. If it
This
is
just
what I
popped
think
up
it
here
is.
on the event viewer. Here's Sean Rogers being pushed around by the 18. Oh, he upset himself. He kept it together, and then he catches the wall on the way out of the bus stop. Ay.
And he gets it again, trying to get turned back around. Yeah, it looks like he may have some wheel damage.
If he didn't the first time, he sure does now. Rogers is on pit road getting service as we speak. Austin Call just had an incident here. Let's take a peek at what happened with him. Here's Austin Call. Same deal coming down toward the bus stop. Comes in, little bouncy bounce.
Oh.
You know, we're going to look at this from a different perspective. Because that didn't look normal. The way that he took that. Unless he really locked him up here. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
He couldn't get that thing woed down.
You really got to be on the binders right when you come off of NASCAR 1 and 2. Jamie Call, yeah, certainly, Sean Rockin' did unfortunately spin out. He unfortunately is on pit road.
That's not going to make Sean happy.
No. Look, he's going to be driving back to the field like a hacked off teenager.
Tane Hodison now leading Matt Long. And they're separated by about 0.3 of a second. I mean, here's Hodison, here's Long. And Long at this point, as we're going to go on board with him, he's going to have to look for a way to get himself easily around Hodison, because if Hodison's able to make that Ford Mustang 4 wide, Matt Long may not be able to get around him at this point in a run, as we're 18 laps in the books, working our way toward lap number 25 for the end of stage number 1. I'm Dave Regal, and he's Alan Bergen. This is Sunday Night NASCAR, brought to you by Stacy Strong. I'm glad to be with all of you this evening.
And here's the thing too. Matt Long, if I'm not mistaken, he won back at the Chicago Street Course after only buying the track and hitting the track moments before they went green. So Matt Long, he's sort of he's one of those road racers too. Doing a part-time deal, not making all the races, but I can see him making a run at the points for next season. There's the logo of my favorite cable company.
Spectrum.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, Spectrum is... Never mind. I'm not going to
Go
say
ahead,
it.
say it.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Nope. I'm
Go
not.
ahead. I second that one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here they come once again. Starting to get pretty interesting here with about 6 laps to go. I don't see near as much orange and red that we did at the beginning of this race. Everybody has really kind of come into their own and identified where they belong on the racetrack. And I think to your point that you made earlier, some of them are just plain old hiding.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, they're just doing good style Neil Pearson's way. As right now, Neil Pearson has about a second and a half advantage over, and there's the eyeball test. As we're watching the 93 car, Tane Hodison, who's in 3rd position. There's the eyeball test. That's what the second and a half looks like if you're looking down the back straightaway. But the top 4 right now really don't surprise me.
Going to check out what happened here with McAdoo, Pennsylvania's John Wilco. Here he is in the 62. He comes out of turn 4 and toward that front chicane and just loses. Whoa!
Oh. I've seen that one before.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't as bad of a wreck as it would have been had these been the old Cup cars without the independent suspension. He'd have been on his side.
Exactly. I don't think the Gen 6 cars race well here anyways.
No. No, not at all.
As you see, Ryan Fisher getting a little sideways coming off that last chicane through the dog leg there. 5 laps to go at stage number 1. Right now it's been all Neil Pearson doing Neil Pearson type things out there on the racetrack. Tyler Hunter is saying, good luck to everyone tonight. He didn't make the race this evening. He hopes everyone has a fantastic night. 27 cars, and I want to say that was done by design. And a lot of your local short tracks, they'll do that. They'll adjust the field size So, like, especially in dirt racing, if the track's like a quarter mile, and there's 30 cars signed in, they'll adjust it down to 24.
Neil Pearson, Ryan Fisher, Tane Hodison, Matt Long, Paul Hill. Those are your top 5 drivers. And realistically, that's also the drivers that we're going to, smoke but no fire. Here's Bobby Anderson separated from Paul Hill. Paul Hill has now fought his way back up into the top 5 after running, so deep in the field for quite a while. Has now gotten back up to the top 5, but it's going to be an awful big ask to see if he can come up here.
You're absolutely correct, as we got about 3 laps left here in stage number 1. Does Ryan Fisher get around Neil Pearson? What did he have to do besides outbrake Neil Pearson in one of these slower corners?
Bobby Anderson, Chris Davis, Larry Miles, Tanner Marty, and Eric Papineau, they round out your top 10. And those drivers we may see digging through up here once we come back after the stage break. And that's what I'm going to be curious because, Alan, the first stage in all of these races, I know you and I have watched a lot of them together because it seems like you're always filling in for one person or another. I feel like you and I have now become more like, you may be my new work wife since I don't see Mettler very much. Of course, you're more like the work mistress that I don't want to tell anybody that I'm seeing on the side, but because you just keep your mouth shut and you're just thankful.
Hey, what can I do?
But no, I mean, the thing is, I know you spend a lot of time filling in, and it seems like it's always me. I'm always looking for somebody.
I mean, I don't look. I never mind it. I'm always getting to do what I like to do, and I kind of get like, oh, where's Dave at? I miss Dave.
Buddy, I mean, you come and hang out with me on Mondays and Tuesdays sometimes. Sometimes we wind up working on Thursdays together. Good gravy. Speaking of work mistresses, I haven't seen Shane lately.
He's hanging out. You can catch him on Friday night with the Racers Elite Super Speedway Series.
I did catch him on that a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Colin, myself, ECR will be wrapping up their season, and Tay McDonald has that championship pretty well wrapped up this time around, with going into Charlotte next week, and you catch myself and Colin McDonough on that one. So we'll be bringing all the action. Tomorrow night you catch Liam and Mike DeMoney on SCL, Sunday Cup League, as they go round number 2 for their season there. And I'll be, Dave, make sure you watch Racing Elite Truck on Tuesday night, because I will be making my return to the driver's seat in the truck at Daytona, so that'll all be fun.
I feel like I started a trend. I came back in August to race the Coke 0400 here in the Cup Series. And then Mettler came and ran Talladega here in the Cup Series. Now you're coming back. First off, it always seems to be super speedways. And it seems like out of nowhere, we've got a lot of our personalities here at Sim Racing Media starting to make reappearances on racetracks and in series that we haven't seen them in a long time.
Yes. And so Tuesday nights, I have 4 truck starts lined out on Tuesday night. So this will be second of the 4. The third one will be at Gateway, and then Eldora. I'm gonna go hit the dirt on the Racer Elite Tuesday Night Truck Series, and that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be November the 16th, I believe. And you know, it's widely known here at SRM that I am a huge dirt guy. So
Yeah, we have to come up with some kind of name for you, like
Well, it
Dirty,
can't be-
Dirty Allen or something.
can't be Dr. Dirt.
No, we'll find something.
But you know, next season, I think we're gonna get Dave out to the Midwest and get him to a dirt track. What's
And
that?
coming out of the front chicane, here comes Neil Pearson. And that will end stage number 1. It's going to be Neil Pearson, Ryan Fisher, Matt Long, Tane Hodison, Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, Chris Davis, Larry Miles, Tanner Marty, and Eric Popino. That is your top 10. Let's get a quick chance here early to check in with the Dirty South Racing driver, Neil Pearson. Hey, Neil, it's Dave and Alan up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
Buddy, listen, great run here in stage 1. I mean, you know, you qualify third and then, you know, get up here to the race lead, and you really never look back. I mean, we saw a little bit of an issue there earlier with Paul Hill, who was on the front row, and he's starting to creep in. Does that kind of thing worry you after being so dominant?
Yeah, Paul's got the speed today. He's got a really fast car under him. So basically, if he gets to me, it's just going to be defend as much as I can. This place is hard to pass, so I reckon I might be able to keep him behind me, but because he's so much faster, he might be able to get a run. So who knows? It could be exciting.
Yeah, it's been an interesting race, of course, coming back to stage number 2. You know, obviously everybody's now filled the old notebook up, but all things considered, obviously you're going to take what you've learned here from 1, apply it to 2, and see what you can do.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to come in and get some tires and some fuel and fix a little bit of damage that I got from that incident when Paul tried to avoid me, and to see how the stage plays out.
All right, brother, listen, good luck, and maybe we'll see you here at the end of stage 2.
Hopefully.
That the voice of our stage 2 winner, Neil Pearson out of Perth, Australia. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He's Alan Bergen, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway as we work around here at the end of stage number 2. Matt Long, your new race leader, he came down on lap number 26 for service, along with everybody else on the lead lap. Ron Fitting stayed out. Chris Custer stayed out, at least according to timing and scoring they did. I don't know if that was an accident or what the deal was, but here we are on Sunday Night NASCAR on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Alan Bergen with you here, your faithful voices of Sunday Night NASCAR. Tyler Hutter checking in, saying good luck to everyone running tonight. He didn't make the race this evening and hoping that everyone has a fantastic time.
Absolutely, and that's what I was saying earlier. As these guys, some tracks will adjust their starting field to accommodate the shorter distances, and this is one of those leagues that does that. So normally you would see 38 cars. Tonight you're going to see 27. And that's why.
The iRacing.com pace car leading us into turns 3 and 4. Matt Long and Ryan Fisher side by side. Tane Hodison, Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, Chris Davis, Larry Miles, Tanner Morty, Eric Papineau, and Neil Pearson. That's going to be your starting top 10 when we come back here. We're going to work our way toward lap number 50, so just about 22 laps at the line to go. Matt Long leads us into the front bus stop, hits the restart zone, and off we go. Matt Long with an incredible restart here in stage number 2. He's now being followed in hot pursuit by Ryan Fisher.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we come down to the inside of the infield here. And, Dave, this is one of those racetracks where, just watching some drivers take off, and a few of them, this is not where you want to jump a curb. and upset the car, getting back to the green flag there. But here we are, and Matt Long is going to do Matt Long things coming through the center field, and this is a second, third gear type section right through the middle of the infield. Then they're going to pick up the throttle, getting back onto the NASCAR oval, and this is where a lot of time could be made up and a lot of time could be lost.
You've got that right. I mean, Matt Long right now, first of all, we've seen him, week after week in this series do so very well. And, again, some of this is a little bit of strategy. If you were watch the way that he bounces this thing through that bus stop in the back. Good. Oh, and there goes Paul Hill around. Oh, no. Paul Hill did all of that work only to come back here and on the opening lap of stage 2 buys the big one. He stayed in the throttle too long.
And that'll make him hot.
I'm sure it doesn't make him happy, if that's what you're saying.
I'm glad someone else got the Duck Dynasty reference.
I thought we were about to sing Ole Ole.
No, oh, Matt Long.
Matt Long around.
Oh, too much of the juice there.
Matt Long comes out of the carousel and starts to get his way toward that uphill rise, catches too much curb, and around he goes.
Well, if you're Ryan Fisher, you're the beneficiary of Matt Long getting loose coming out of that carousel. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Ryan Fisher continues to lead this thing, and he's got a little over almost a second and a half over Tane Hodgson and Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox. Now, if you remember back at the Chicago Street Course, Matt Long did spin out a couple times and still recovered and took the win.
Matt Long is known for comebacks, and this could be one of them. I mean, look, the 6 of Paul Hill was in the same situation, but now Ryan Fisher out of Richmond, Virginia is our new race leader.
So here's the thing, too, also, and to piggyback off the point here, is, I referenced Chicago because I believe this is a lot like Chicago. Not as long as Chicago, but, Meanwhile, the Dent Slayer number 04 of Ryan Fisher out of Richmond, Virginia, making it happen, doing great things here with a second and a half over Tane Hodgson. There is your eyeball test once again. And there's the man himself. See, Dave, not all heroes wear capes.
There we go, boys. I'm glad I could jump up in here with you guys, watching an excellent race here at the Roval, just underway with stage number 2. And, well, for those of us who maybe like myself might now be tuning in for the first time, let's go through a little bit of a race rundown.
First of all, I want to welcome Liam Yervig right here alongside of me because Liam and I don't spend enough time together here in the broadcast booth at all. We are about to spend some quality time together with our friends from the Miller Brewing Company in a couple of weeks, sir. Unless you've had some type of
guy, but
what's that?
More of an Anheuser-Busch guy, but yeah.
I mean, look, I'm just saying we're going to be spending some time together.
Yeah,
But anyway, Ryan Fisher leads this race right now. Now, our pole sitter, he's already taken a tumble. Neil Pearson started in 3rd, and he's, of course, from Australia. He just won stage number 1. Tane Hodgson, he's been crawling up quietly, but our last 2 leaders of this race have already bought the big one and now sunk back a lap down.
Chris Custer's had himself a little bit of an off. He's going to jump to the pits. Might be some damage on that car. I'd have to take a look to see what happened to him. But, yeah, great little recap there as we move forward to see what happened. 66 tide ride.
Oh, he definitely did stay in that ride with Tide.
I believe that's between 6 and 7 there. Just couldn't go with that broken toe link. Had to take it to the pits. Should be fixable there, but unfortunately going to lose a lot of time in a race where you don't get regular cautions outside of the stage break.
Here we are taking a look at Neil Pearson. Now, he's managed to keep it pretty clean throughout this race. Now, Tane Hodgson, in the meantime, he's now running in P2. Now, he qualified P4. It's going to be interesting to watch what he's able to do, but let's run back here and see our pole sitter. There's Paul Hill. Every time Paul Hill gets near the lead, he coughs it up.
And that is a tough spot to be in mentally. Is I believe Alex Princeton just behind might have gotten into the wall, but that is a tough spot to be in mentally. Passed these cars numerous times already. You just want to be able to get out front and stay there, but 6 unable to do that right now. He's right behind that number 82 of Cody McCorkle. Moves down to the inside, getting out of the banking of oval turns 3 and 4, and that's going to be a pretty easy pass for that number 6 Sparko machine.
And here we are working lap number 34. We're on our way to lap number 50. And as you look here on the left-hand side of your screen, folks, right now, Ryan Fisher, the highest running because he's leading this race, non-playoff driver. Then we've got Hodgson, Pearson, and Marty. Those 4 drivers, all playoff drivers. Matt Long kind of mixed into the midst of this. Larry Miles mixed in there. But a lot of our top 10 right now, in fact, 7 out of those top 10, all playoff drivers.
Yeah, of course, you can see the playoffs denoted on the side of your screen with these drivers in purple. First playoff driver is Hodgson, up in second. Doing a pretty good job to try to keep himself running strong in that 93. Neil Pearson just behind him. You got Bobby Anderson and Tanner Marty. 4 out of the top 5 playoff drivers.
You know, looking at some of these drivers, the way that they come through the bus stop, the bus stop out back in the chicane in the front stretch, that just seems to be a very violent transition, even as we go on board here with the tops number 29 of Tanner Marty. He buys a lot of this curb. I mean, whoa, look at the way the rear end of that car loosened.
He didn't take nearly as much as I thought he was going to there. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys catching air. It's definitely unsettling to go over these curbs, even though you are at the slow speed. Those tires aren't down the ground. Really upset the handling of everything.
Yeah, we see that so often, and I'm trying to get a good shot here. Maybe if we can find the helmet cam. And of course, now I can't. Why not? There it is. If we see the way that these guys, I mean, listen, his hands are busier than anything I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's got to really fight this car, and I'm hoping to be here as we stay on board right now with Tanner Marty, just to see how he comes through this rear bus stop.
It looks like Ryan Nuremaker's had himself a little bit of an off. Eric Papineau. Ooh, that was a lot of curb, and that slows down that car a ton.
That'll do it. I mean,
lose the spot to the 97, Matt Long. Nice recovery after spinning out earlier, but
let's take a look at Nunemacher and see what happened with Brian. Here we are watching the 56. He's going to come across. Anybody want to take bets? What happens right here is he's got to nose this thing in. There it is. That just seems to be calamity corner for so many of these drivers, no matter where they are in their tire run and where what the weight of the car is due to fuel. It just seems like that first corner, you get yourself all kinds of wound up and have trouble mowing it down.
I mean, you find yourself getting out of the gas at the wrong time when the car's at its lightest. It is really easy to loop these things around, and that's kind of what we saw there. Nunemacher. As we take a look back up front, Ryan Fisher has opened up about a 3-second lead over Tane Hodgson in second, Neil Pearson third, Bobby Anderson fourth, and rounding out our top 5 is Matt Long.
Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. One of the lucky drivers that gets to come from the Peach State. And what a talented dude this guy is. I mean, unfortunately, he missed the playoffs by just that much this year. But, I mean, and for a lot of this season, he was a bridesmaid, never the bride, but he finally picked up the first win, and all of a sudden, that was just enough to give him that momentum that he needed, but unfortunately didn't have enough races in the books to qualify for the playoffs.
To be the same story of today so far. I mean, he was running up front, got turned around. I mean, not got turned around, but spun around and was able to make a quick recovery. Last couple of times around, he has been the quickest car on the racetrack, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe work his way up, see what he's got towards the end of stage number 2. But after that restart, if he could be close enough to Ryan Fisher, he might have a little something to worry about in this 97 of Matt Long.
13 cars are on the lead lap right now. Ron Fitting the last on the lead lap. Now, he's got not that far before, Fisher's going to start to creep in on him as Fitting now comes down the back chute and into that bus stop. Alex Brinson in the 19 Caribou Coffee Chevrolet. He runs in 12th right now as we're kind of looking here at the bottom of our lead lap cars. And finally, Cody McCorkle in the 82 Cabela's machine. He runs in 11th. Of course, Liam just went over our top 10 as we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight here on the YouTube.com live chat. The Allen Experience wants to encourage everybody to show Liam some love as he slides in here to the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth. Something that he doesn't get to do very often, which I appreciate, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a great time to work with you. And well, we've actually got a message from the comments talking about 44 spun out off the bus stop. Might have been earlier on in the race, but we'll rock on. We appreciate your comment, Jamie.
So, of course, we've been teasing this for the last couple of weeks. Everybody knows that we're going to be off the air, not this week, but the following. As, of course, for the actual Sunday night NASCAR broadcast for Homestead, Miami, we will be in Homestead, Miami. What are you looking forward to the most? As I know this is going to be your third year down, my second. What are you looking forward to the most for when we get down there?
I tell you what, Dave, it's actually going to be my second, too. I wasn't able to make it the first time around, so last year, much like you, it was my first. It was a good time, and I can't tell you what I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, as a Minnesotan, we're getting into autumn time. I mean, the leaves are changing colors, and it's real pretty, but it's starting to get cold, so being able to have that one last weekend, get to go to the beach is going to be cool. But I tell you what, Matt, just being able to spend some time with the people I already spend a lot of time with virtually, being able to enjoy what we all got together in the first place to enjoy in person. I mean, we're all race fans through and through, whether you're on the racetrack, such as the number 74, Chris Davis here, as he's trying to keep that 57 from closing in on the back bumper. But yeah, we are all race fans here. Being able to enjoy racing together is really what all of this is all about. As much as I can talk about the beach or who I'm expecting to see run up front, cough, cough, Tyler Reddick, I'm just excited to hang out with you guys and be able to spend time with you guys as we do week in and week out up here.
I have to say, I mean, to me, that's probably the best part of this whole trip. First of all, last year being able to finally, shake hands with the people that, we virtually shake hands all the time, because some of us spend a lot of time here on the servers together, whether it's, John or me or you. Or
Ryan Fisher has crashed in the lead.
Uh-oh. What in the hell?
Ryan Fisher crashes, jumps to the pits. Neil Pearson takes over the race lead. What in the world just happened?
Well, let's take a look here. Fisher comes down the back chute. Oh, he just locked them up out of nowhere and parks in the middle of the backstretch. What in the hell? We're going to go right here to the cockpit cam. Here we go, coming out of 2, down the backstretch. It almost looks planned.
It showed up on the graphic that the 04 had crashed.
No, I saw. Yeah, that's just because of the speed that he came down to. But
yeah, so apologies for that.
Yeah, but
outburst there, but still a huge story with our race leader leaving the racetrack,
hanging it up. That clears the way for Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox here in the 58 Chevrolet Camaro, as now he leads Tane Hodison by about 1.4 seconds, 1.5 now. But that definitely opens the door for a clear racetrack for Pearson, as now Hodison runs in second, Bobby Anderson in third, Matt Long and Tanner Marty round out your top 5. I am quickly trying to search through the chat here and see if there's any kind of indication of what just happened with Ryan.
While we look for an update on that, I've got a real-life update. Sorry if you guys have already mentioned it, but Alex Bowman has been DQ'd, failing post-race inspection. The car was too light.
Huh.
Alex Bowman, therefore, has been eliminated from playoff contention, losing all the points that he had today with the last place finish. Joey Logano is back in.
I just don't like Joey Logano. That's all. I just don't like him.
I am now realizing, I hope we don't have drivers who are listening to this that were maybe hoping to watch the race later.
Spoiler alert. Oh, wait, it's too late.
Yeah, this is Twitter news.
It's fine.
Happened after the race, but
look, you heard it here first on SRM. That's, you know what I mean. It's news.
It is news.
At 8:34, it's news. At 8:35, it's history.
Technically, according to Bob Pockrass, he mentioned it at about 8:20. So 15 minutes late. If you're following Bob, you got it quicker than us.
You know, I got a chance to meet him last year in Miami. A lot shorter than of a person than I expected.
I've seen him a couple times, and he is quick-witted. You know, the 10 gets up into the wall there, trying to stay out of the way. That's Chris Cloud at Monster Energy Toyota. Not used to seeing him in those colors.
No, traditionally he was the Dasani machine, but he really got onto the Ty Gibbs wagon this year and decided he wanted to be just like Ty Gibbs when he grows up.
It's not a bad guy to want to be like. He's an Xfinity Series champ. He's got his first Cup win coming. Gotta be soon. He can't pull one off by the end of this year. I mean, you gotta believe it's going to happen within the first 5 or 10 next year. That is so talented. I call him a man. He's a kid. You know, he's probably 21, 22. So talented. It'll be fun to watch him and his very long career. Chris Cloud running that apron just a little bit here in turns 1 and 2.
You know, Chris is one of those drivers, and he knows that he's not a road course driver by any stretch of the term. I feel like he's one of the most, at least for my money, one of the most respectful drivers on the racetrack, especially when he knows that, for lack of a better term, he doesn't have a snowball's chance. So he would rather be respectful of those that are in the playoff battle. And I mean, we're here in Elimination Week. Like, this is not this is no small potatoes. You know, 8 drivers are going to move on, 4 are going to go back home.
Well, I mean, that's exactly right. You know, I mean, and some of these guys are definitely out there trying to play spoiler. We see a guy like Matt Long out there who's jumped up to 4th place with the 04 of Fisher leaving the race. He's moving on up. He's within 2.5 seconds of the race lead. But all 4 of your top 4 getting relatively close. Race for the lead. Neil Pearson only has about half a second on Tane Hodison.
And that is officially the closest battle on the racetrack. Oh, never mind, just kidding. Bobby Anderson just ahead of Matt Long is now the closest battle on the racetrack, as Long is really starting to close in here with about 7 to go this time by at the line in stage number 2. Matt Long starting to close in on Bobby Anderson. And Anderson, as he looks out the rear view, here it goes, as here comes the pass. Now, we talked about this earlier. It seems like the NASCAR turns are where most of these guys are comfortable making passes, you know, and getting themselves set up for advancement.
Similar to how a lot of road courses work, you know. I mean, you want to try to set up the run coming up off of the corner so you can set up the straightaway, get that position on the guy, and outbrake him into the next corner. However, with this track being what it is, these banked corners, they almost act as that straight, but not quite. I mean, you get the run coming up off of the corner, and you can position yourself on the preferred line. But with these banked curves, you get so much more benefit by being able to run that inside lane, as we see the slow car down on the inside. That the dark green machine.
Dark green machine would probably be the 82.
Nope, it was right behind on track, right behind the 18 there. But
Here we go.
56, Ryan Nunemacher.
Nunemacher is new to this league, and I'll tell you what, he's made a pretty strong impact, but this is not one of his more shining moments in his career here in SNN. Dave Regal and Liam Mervig with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We want to thank everybody for tuning in today, welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, as Liam making a cameo appearance here in the booth, and we're thankful for it.
I'm happy to be here. I feel like the SNN series is kind of where I would say cut my teeth here. You know, I started out with these guys a little bit with Fuel and working with James back in the day. So we do have some events going on the racetrack as we are approaching 5 laps to go. Cody McCorkle has had himself an off here going into turn number 4. Gets up onto that curbing, spins the car out in turn 5 to be able to continue on. And Paul Hill has also had himself a little bit of an off coming across the front straightaway. Gets down into turn number 1. We'll see if that's the same deal that we've seen before. Oh, he just locked it up entirely and straight into the Tums heartburn turn.
You know, something that I just want to quick run back, and I hate to do this, but at the same time, let's take a look right here at that left front. Left front suspension. Let's watch this as this thing is going to glow cherry red coming into this. And he just locks it up. I mean, even after locking it up, that thing had no chance.
I mean, locking up is really the worst thing that can happen. You're not going to get any stopping power compared to if your wheels still had traction on the ground. And might have just been a little bit late on the brakes, or might have just been a little too much at one point. Either way, a tough run there for Paul Hill. However, it did work for Chase Elliott.
Sure did. As we take a peek here at Tane Hodison running about 1.1 seconds behind Neil Pearson. Now 1.3, so Pearson starting to pull away again. 5 to go in stage number 2. Matt Long, Bobby Anderson, and Tanner Marty, they round out your top 5. Larry Miles, Chris Davis, Paul Hill, Eric Popino, and Alex Princeton, they're your top 10.
Let's not forget Matt Long here. He made the pass on Bobby Anderson, sitting in 3rd place right now. Still about 2.5 seconds off of that race lead, but what a recovery he has made after spinning out early on in this stage. He has put the pedal to the metal. He has pushed this car to its limits, and here he is with less than 5 laps to go in the stage with a chance to, I mean, stage points don't matter to him, but with a chance to set himself up with a real good shot to win here. One of the main players, Brian Fisher, being out of this race.
Yeah, it seems like Long, you know, I just talked about Chris Claude being one of those drivers who knows that he's not a road course kind of guy. Matt Long, to the other end of that spectrum, a non-playoff driver who knows that he's got a shot every time the green flag drops. He's out here not even close to afraid to put a little bit of fender action together here as he's just up on the rear bumper of Tane Hodison. We look out of the rear of Tane Hodison, and holy crap, all he can see is a rearview mirror full of Matt Long.
That Ford Mustang of Matt Long looking super strong here. And Dave, the question is, how hard do you fight if you're Tane Hodison? You're a playoff driver. I mean, I can't imagine Matt Long is going to do anything super egregious here, anything crazy. But when does that patience run out? When does he decide, I want to get up and take that 2nd place? You're slowing me down. And how hard does that 93 fight to keep him behind him, knowing that he's got a lot more on the line as a playoff driver here?
Yeah, I think we see Tane Hodison having to make that Ford Dark Horse Mustang about 4 wide here on the straightaways and coming out of, the NASCAR turns. Coming through this rear chicane, that's where I start to see Matt Long get really, really quick. But as soon as we hit, turns 3 and 4, the 93 starts to gap a little bit further, as now he's got an even second between himself and Tane Hodison. As Hodison now, because he's been back here duking it out with Matt Long, he's all of a sudden losing all kinds of ground to Neil Pearson, who now leads by almost 3 total seconds.
I mean, and let's not forget, this 93, he wants to keep that 97 behind him because that is 1 point. I know it doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but throughout the course of these playoffs, 1 point has shown to make a difference. 9 stage points sound a little bit better than 8. And 97 isn't racing for any stage points. Up through 7. Getting back onto the oval. A little bit of separation here now between Tane Hodison and Matt Long. 2.7 seconds is the gap between first and second. It's increased a little bit each lap, but Tane Hodison now has, once again, a rear bumper, rear mirror full of Matt Long.
Going on board here with Hodison one more time. It looks like Hodison's able to get a pretty good run through NASCAR 3 and 4 as we come back onto the front stretch. He's got to get this thing woed down, and this is where Matt Long really starts to butter his bread. Good Lord. And Neil Pearson's down pit road.
Neil Pearson taking the opportunity before the pits close to come in, get that fresh rubber, and flip the stage. Now this becomes a battle for the stage win. If the 93 can hold on, this is going to be a phenomenal showing for him. Even if trouble happens to him later, he knows he's got these points in the bag.
Yeah, Pearson deciding that he's going to take pit service early just before they get closed for the end of stage 2. So Hodison's going to take over the lead. It looks like we may, depending on how this finishes out, have quite a battle for that extra stage point. And, to your observation a little bit ago, that 1 point can make a lot of difference for somebody like Hodison and make no difference for Matt Long.
A little bit loose, getting back onto the oval. Hodison able to hold on. It's about a car length and a half as they get down in. Here comes Matt Long. Big braking moment. Is he going to be able to keep it down there? He locks it up just a touch, but takes over the race lead. And Hodison is going to lose a ton of time trying to not make contact with that 97 on the bold move. Here comes Bobby Anderson looking up to the top. Thinks a little bit better of it right now. He's going to wait until this last lap to try to set himself up one more move. Another question here is how aggressive does Tane Hodison get coming to the back bumper once again of the 97?
Well, you know what? For starters, I think we just saw everything that Matt Long is made of and what keeps his name in our mouths here at the microphone. I don't think we're going to see Hodison, try to close this gap too much. I think Hodison's a smart enough driver to know that, if he needs the stage win here to stay alive in the playoffs, he could probably work something out with Matt. But if he needs the win to make that transfer, we're talking a whole different ballgame.
I think it's pretty clear at this point. Matt Long is out here to try to collect trophies and checkered flags. Going for a checkered flag on this lap around. It's a green and white checkered. Quite the one that you want. Now, there was a Rick Allen moment for me. It's definitely one that you want.
Absolutely.
You want that black and white checkered flag a little bit more.
Of course, here we are working lap number 50 as now Matt Long coming into turn 3 and 4. Once he crosses the start-finish line, that will end stage number 2. He's not going to be challenged right now for the race lead with Tane Hodison about 1.2 seconds behind him. He comes back onto the front stretch through the bus stop. And as he comes out of that chicane and crosses the start-finish line, the caution flag flies, and Matt Long is your stage 2 winner.
Phenomenal drive by that 97 to be able to work his way up. We saw him go around, I believe in turn 6, coming up through the infield road course. Got that thing right back on the racetrack and didn't even blink twice. Got himself right back up to the front of the field. And now he's going to be following that pace car up until they make pit stops.
Yeah, and believe me, he knows what it's like to follow the pace car, that's for sure. So we're going to try to get a hold of Matt while we've got a moment. on, Matt. Where you at? There we go. Hey, Matt, it's Dave. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Buddy, listen, great finish here to the end of stage one. You didn't really have to duke it out too much, with the previous stage winner, but it really looked like you were kind of under a little bit of pressure not to sign up for something else.
Yeah, well, I choked at the start of it. I had the lead, and I spun myself out, so luckily we got pretty good pace and was able to track those guys back down and made a couple moves, and yeah, good points. We need it.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way, and maybe we're going to see you here on the podium at the end of this piece.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
That, of course, the voice of Matt Long, driver the number 97. We're going to send him back on up here to the Dirty South Racing Stable, and while we do that, we're also going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He's Liam Irving, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
So hi, my name's Christy. I'm a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Back live here, Neil Pearson was able to get away with the race lead on that restart, but a strong number 6 Ford Mustang is coming up behind him. That is Paul Hill, who we saw get into the fence a little bit earlier, doing a good job of recovering. while we were away, we saw the 82 get turned around on the backstretch chicane. He had a big-time lockup, and unfortunately, a couple of drivers were unable to keep from hitting him. See what happened here.
And here's McCorkle locking him up, coming into the bus stop. Oh,
Chris Cloud.
I mean, Chris never could have seen that coming.
Oh, the 82 was doing absolutely everything he could to stay off of the car in front. Locked up the brakes entirely, and once you jump over those curbs, there's nothing you could do. That 82 just didn't quite move quick enough for the 10.
Fortunately, it looks like no harm, no foul for the 10. But 12 cars on the lead lap after that caution. Now it looks like Larry Miles has had himself an incident. Let's watch the 57. Looks like this is going to be similar coming into the front chicane. Oh. Yeah, that'll do it right there.
It's a big hit, too. He locked up the brakes. You saw him take a lot of curb on that first part of the chicane. Now, here we come. If this was the current Roval layout that the NASCAR series was running this week, that would have been a great passing opportunity for the 6, but instead, that wide sweeping motion gives an advantage to the 58, especially with that little bit of damage we see on the front bumper of the 6. You know that's got to be hurting his quarter speeds behind the 58.
Right now it goes Pearson, Hill, Hodison, Long, and Anderson. That's your top 5. Tanner Marty, Chris Davis, Eric Papineau, Alex Prinzen, and Keith Long. That's your top 10. And this is probably going to be the most bunched up that we see them for most of the night.
As we mentioned there, Chris Davis, he just made a big move to get around Eric Papineau coming up off of the oval turns 1 and 2. Was able to set up that pass cleanly, getting into the back stretch chicane. Good job there by the 74, Chris Davis. Paul Hill is all over the back bumper of the 58 through this middle part of the racetrack. Coming up through turns 5. Yeah, right up to that back bumper.
This is going to be quite a good battle. Oh, but a runaway gets Neil Pearson. He is, you know what, we may call him the modern day Silver Fox, but he is a sly fox.
Really is. He took advantage there. The 6 had himself a little bit of a wide moment, had to check up. 58 picture perfect through that last section of the infield road course. Gets his lead up to about half a second. Don't look now. Kane Hodison sitting in third place, just about a second and a half off the race lead with Matt Long all over his back bumper. These guys aren't going to have anything come easy to them. We've got 2 fast cars just behind them.
And here we go. Let's take a look back here at Matt Long, as Long is starting to close in like a homing missile on the 93 of Tane Hodison. I do want to give a shout out to Hodison. He definitely made me smile and made Honey Buns smile from ear to ear last Tuesday with his paint scheme for all of his trucks on his team for Tuesday Night NASCAR. It's my buddy right there, taking care of his broadcaster.
Good job to see that 97 touch the grass just a little bit. Right rear tire got up in there. Now he's still trying to find a way to get around that 93. Was able to do it before stage end, but once again, behind the 93 of Hodison.
58 laps in the books on our way to lap 109 for when we see the checkers fly. Dave Regal and Liam Jorvik with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, live from Charlotte Motor Speedway, virtual Charlotte that is. What a race we've had tonight. We've had different leaders. We've had, dominance out of Pearson, and Pearson, so confident in his pit strategy, was able to change that up a little bit as he came in on lap 48, which, of course, then cycled him back to the lead to get started here in stage number 3.
Both of the top 2 took a lot of grass there, or turf, I should say, on entry into that final chicane on the front stretch. Both drivers got away okay, but we saw how much trouble that caused for the 57 earlier in the race. It'd be tough to make that work, but that just goes to show how hard these drivers are pushing up front here. They're trying to get every inch of this racetrack to make that car work. Paul Hill is using every inch that he can and inching in closer and closer to Neil Pearson. This section of the racetrack seems to favor the 58, but Paul Hill able to take a tighter corner here, close in just a little bit as they get towards the banking, turns 1 and 2 of the NASCAR Roval.
Neil Pearson showing the way here. He's almost the Pied Piper of Charlotte. He definitely has, right now, more laps led than everybody else. But 4 blue oval Ford Mustangs are starting to creep in on that bow tie leading this piece. You've got to wonder what their strategy is going to be to try to close that gap because, I mean, Pearson seems to have, it's almost like he's got that push to pass ability where when he sees that the 6 is getting just a little too close, he pushes to pass and just gaps him by just enough to make the 6 frustrated.
I wonder how much of it is the 6. You know, he gets close enough, he can't quite see where his braking points or, you know, his visuals are on the side of the racetrack. I mean, I noticed that last time getting into the bus stop. He closed in pretty good. He tried to outbrake the 58, but he took a lot of curb getting into the bus stop, and that cost him some time on corner exit, getting the throttle back down.
And as he starts to lead here, he's got the thing up to like 112 going into these turns, so he's definitely hitting third gear, which is something we don't get to see a whole lot of. Some of these drivers playing it very conservative as they come through the carousel and back up toward that infield segment of the track. Neil Pearson now coming out and toward NASCAR turn 2 as he's going to roll it on here to the backstretch. We're going to see just what he's made of as he comes down here. Whoa, look at the 6, the run that he just got as Pearson was slowing down. It's almost like the 6 was ready to sell out to try to get the lead.
And I believe Chris Cloud and Ryan Nunemacher have had a little bit of an incident there. Take a look at that in just a moment. But Dave, what a job on under-braking Paul Hill was able to do getting into that backstretch chicane. Closed up a lot of time. We'll take a look to see what happened here with Chris Cloud.
Chris comes down the backstretch.
Oh, man, he's got a lot of speed.
Ooh. Well, that's one way to make your day a little bit worse. Let's see what happened with Nunemacher. Nunemacher in the 56 comes out of the front chicane and down toward turn 1. It's hard to believe anybody would have a mistake here all by their lonesome unless you were here in, Heartburn Alley, and there he goes, just turning it around.
Job for him to keep it off of the inside wall there. Deal with a little bit of damage to the rear of the car, but that front end impact definitely messes stuff up when you don't expect it to. As Paul Hill is continuing to close in. He's just a little bit quicker each lap as Cody McCorkle is going to come into the pits with that damaged race car. A lot of curb there from Neil Pearson this time around. Paul Hill is going to be within 4 tenths coming up out of the banking once again. Trying to get a draft through the corners. These cars are super draggy. Not quite close enough to make a move, and these guys continue to just touch that turf. This is definitely most important. Look at the move by Bobby Anderson. Matt Long and Tane Hodison have been battling for that third position, and Bobby Anderson just tried to take it from both of them. Matt Long's going to be able to make that pass and get back up into third. Wow, what a move there coming up off of the final chicane for Bobby Anderson. He's going to take away 4th place, put Tane Hodison all the way back to 5th.
Yeah, Hodison now has the 93 in 5th position, and realistically, he came out of nowhere, and right now it goes Pearson, Hill, and Long. And I feel like I've called that trio of drivers so many times this season. And, here it is, Matt Long, the only one of those 3 drivers not to be in the playoffs. And to boot, one of 2 non-playoff drivers right now congregated at a bar in Myrtle Beach. The other 8 definitely in the playoffs.
Side by side, just behind these guys. Off the racetrack goes Tane Hodison. He's going to have to come to a complete stop. Going to lose a ton of time now as he's now 3 seconds and counting behind Bobby Anderson. Cody McCorkle has elected to pack it up on the hauler. For you 82 fans, he is going to be out of the race.
Well, if they insist. Tane Hodgson now running in 5th position after qualifying in 4th. Right now, our big mover of this race isn't even somebody who's leading at the moment. It's Alex Brinson. He's up 13 spots from when he qualified and got the Caribou Coffee for his Chevrolet, and I've been picking on him for the last 2 years. You have to wonder sometimes, do you really offend people when you're just trying to have fun?
Well, it kind of depends on who you ask. I think comedy is really reliant on shock value. I'm not sure what that has to do with this at the moment, but Alex Brinson doing a pretty good job in that Caribou Coffee machine.
I tell the story every now and then of when Brinson first showed up in this league. I had been a seasoned driver here for a long time, was having a good night at New Hampshire, and out of nowhere comes the 19 like a bat out of hell. And I remember getting onto the radio in our Discord channel going, who's this effing guy? Passed me like I was standing still, and he has never looked back. I mean, Alex Brinson is a great representation of what this league is all about.
He's a super talented driver. He's quick. I mean, there was a time not too terribly long ago where he was just as annoying as Martin Truex Jr. was in that 78, and it's like, come on, man, this guy again? Alex Brinson right now is sitting just inside the top 10, not a playoff driver, doing pretty good, rocking that Caribou Coffee Chevy Camaro. Familiar paint scheme for Alex Brinson. Neil Pearson, however, has thrown his lead over Paul Hill by just about a second. Matt Long has gained about a second in the last 3 laps. 6.4 back to Matt Long when we were last looking. Now it's 5.6 back to Matt Long, and Paul Hill within a second, but he is losing a ton of time. A lot of curb used by that 6 machine. It's going to cost him some time as they get back onto the oval.
Does this paint scheme not look just a little bit, what was that, Travis Pastrana a few years ago?
Similar colors, but not enough random stuff on them.
Yeah, but the colors, right?
Yeah, I can see it with colors. Chris Davis under fire from Eric Papineau. Those guys have been battling for most of this run.
Well, here it is. Chris Davis starting to close in now, and all of a sudden he went from getting ready to battle it out to being all by his lonesome.
I think Papineau had himself a bit of a moment there coming up off of the corner. Lost a ton of time. When I say a ton, I mean a ton.
Right now, it looks like Bobby Anderson. Most of our battles here on the racetrack have really calmed down. Paul Hill, 0.8 of a second, and now a little bit less, 3/4 of a second behind Neil Pearson. This is the closest battle aside from the Chris Davis fight.
Sure what's going on. The scoring might have been messed up a little bit. Chris Davis has about 8 seconds in front of him and 8 seconds behind him. Almost 10 behind him back to Eric Papineau.
Just about 40 to go. 43 if we want to get specific.
Paul Hill closing back in once again. It's just within half a second. Neil Pearson is starting to feel the pressure once again. That Camaro has nothing but Fords behind him. There is a strong Ford trying to close in on the back bumper. Matt Long in 3rd place is still closing in. It's about half a second quicker that last time around. It'll be interesting to see what that 97 can do before the pit stop. Let's not forget, Dave, as there's a little bit of a wall touch there out of Neil Pearson. These guys do have 1 pit stop remaining at least. Probably just 1. We won't see a caution.
No, we definitely won't see a caution. Automatic cautions are off tonight, which, believe you me, and you know, I've been kind of shameless about this. I'm not a road course guy. I love me some ovals, you know. And this one is kind of like a hybrid. It's like a Prius. I also don't like the idea of a road course being in the middle of the playoffs, but that's just me.
You know, I think Watkins Glen was a good move for the playoffs. I think they could probably just switch back to the oval for Charlotte. But I don't get to make that call.
As we go here, Neil Pearson holding off Paul Hill by about a half second. Then 4.35 seconds way back to Matt Long, Bobby Anderson, Tane Hodison, Tanner Marty, Chris Davis, Eric Papineau, Alex Princeton, and Keith Long. That's your top 10, and they're also the only 10 drivers left in the lead lap. Taking another look here, let's go back to Alex Princeton. He's kind of all by his lonesome. A lot of drivers already putting it on the hauler tonight, and to be completely honest, man, I don't see that as being a problem right now.
I mean, road course racing in stock cars, I mean, especially on iRacing is tough. And to kind of get back to what you were saying before about, you know, not having any cautions in this, it's tough to be able to figure out a rule as to where you can throw a caution on a road course. You know, I mean, majority of the reason that a caution comes out in a race is because there's a hazard on the racetrack. This being a simulation, you know, a lot easier for cars to get off. It's a lot easier for, you know, debris to be not on the racetrack. And, you know, it's a lot easier for these cars to spin out. So, I mean, if we were under normal iRacing oval rules and cars spun out on the racetrack, definitely slow down this race a ton. So it's just kind of one of those deals where, as much as you hate to say the words judgment call, it is a judgment call, and you need a person up there to be able to make that call. And, you know, in the end, it's just not as important on a road course like this when there's so much separation in the field, there's so much space to go and get off the racetrack to reset. You don't need a car to come out and tow you.
No, and you know, I think you're right. That is one of the beauties to sim racing at this level, because, you know, you just quick hit that tow button, you're out of the way. In real life, of course, there's also safety things that go on, you know. I always find it fascinating when I'm watching any kind of a sport and you see, like, that stray napkin floating across an outfield or, you know, somewhere on an end zone in Pittsburgh. But a napkin on a NASCAR racetrack is so much more dangerous than it is almost anywhere else. It can block up, you know, some of your cooling, some of your air intake. I mean, so if they see something like that on the racetrack, they have to throw a caution in real life.
Not a napkin, but, you know, something harder,
something substantial.
I mean, how many times have we seen trash bags and whatever get caught up on the front of a car? They've got to get right behind somebody to try to change the air pressure to pull that thing off. Take a look back at the battle for the race lead. Neil Pearson has still half a second over Paul Hill. Paul not letting him get away, but at the same time, he's not really doing a whole heck of a lot to close in. Those guys were within 100th of a second of each other that last time around. Paul takes a lot of curb on entry into that backstretch bus stop here, but that's going to cost him on exit once again. Now Neil's able to drive away just a bit. However, time gained on entry, that might be enough to kind of offset the loss he gets on exit as he dives it in heavy on the brakes. And Dave, like you said before, cherry red brake rotor.
Yeah, right now those rotors on the Dent Slayer number 6 have got to be nearly liquid. As we're going to quick take a hop over here and see what happened with Larry Miles. Relatively new driver here in this league from north of the border, so we appreciate him, eh?
Absolutely. I love Canada. I've only been there once.
Here we go. Yeah, that'll do it.
Not ideal, and that's another one of those situations where that could have potentially brought out a caution had we been running normal oval iRacing caution rules. Just what a cut down to the inside by Paul Hill. Trying to use less racetrack. Going to cost him a little bit of time on the exit of the corner, but he's utilizing this draft now on the bigger part of the racetrack, the high-speed section. Once again, heavy on the brakes into that backstretch bus stop. Gets a lot of curb there. Is able to close in within a car length. 58 is able to pull away just a little bit more. I don't know, Dave. It seems like Paul Hill is quicker in some spots, but that 58 is just able to be quick enough in the right positions to be able to keep them behind.
I'm telling you, he is absolutely, the mascot of this choir up here.
It's in a car length of separation as these guys work into the infield road course. Little bit of a slide there out of Paul Hill as he tries to cut to the inside to get himself a little bit more air to the front end of that car. Couple of sweeping right-handers as they go into the infield back straightaway. Couple of back stretches here at the Charlotte Roval. And now into the sweeping right-hander. Like Dave said, it is almost a carousel. As a look to the inside, that's going to cause the 6 to go a little bit wide. Compromises entry, getting into 5 and 6, or 6 and 7, or whatever this is. Getting onto the oval, though. This is as close as the 6 has been. He's less than 3/10 back, and he is closing. It's now a quarter of a second. How close does he need to be able to outbrake him into the bus stop?
As we come into the bus stop, let's watch the 6 of Paul Hill chasing down Neil Pearson. Now, you had just mentioned about paint. That, by the way, will be delivered tomorrow. Neil Pearson leads this piece now by about 4/10 of a second. It seems like he and Paul Hill have just been up here running their own race while the other 24 drivers are duking it out.
Matt Long, you see him scraping the wall on the front straightaway here just a little bit coming up off of that final corner. He is digging right now. He's gotten within 3.5 seconds of the race lead, consistently putting on the fastest laps of the race right now by about 0.2 of a second, maybe even 3, over your race leader, Neil Pearson. Pearson's got a lot to worry about with that 6 car of Paul Hill behind him, but Matt Long is coming, and he is coming in a hurry in that 97.
Let's watch this battle for the lead. Paul Hill really trying to put the pressure on Neil Pearson as he is just back here harassing him.
Good job to cover the inside on the entry back onto the oval. Cost Paul Hill just a little bit more time than he usually does on quarter exit. Now he's got himself a nice gap. Doesn't have to worry about avoiding that 6 car in the braking zone as Paul Hill once again dives it in deep, takes a lot of curb, gets close to that rear bumper, but the 58 drives away on corner exit once again.
Neil Pearson finds more and more ways to escape this than MacGyver. I mean, he's up here with a paper clip and a rubber band, and he is finding out ways to maintain this race lead. Even as Paul Hill just smokes a tire coming through the front chicane, Neil Pearson just does it better.
Huge lockup there from Paul Hill. Kept it off of the back of the 58, but almost hit him. It's going to cost him some time as that gap goes almost to 1 second once again. Can Paul Hill close back in? Seems that he's able to close in. I mean, at least these last couple of times he has. Leads me to believe he might have the better car. Man, that 58 is just... he's fast where he needs to be. He's going to lock it up just a little bit there.
You know, when a good driver will do that, you know, a good driver will figure out where their good segment of the racetrack is and really try to capitalize on it. And it seems like that's what Pearson's doing. He knows he's got a couple of weak spots here on the track, and everybody does. But those good, strong spots that he has, he is holding on to those for dear life and almost wielding them like a weapon. "73 laps in the books. We're working our way toward lap 109. Dave Regal and Liam Ervig with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You're watching Sunday Night NASCAR right here on YouTube.com. Of course, you can check us out at Sim Racing Media over on YouTube. When you do, make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so that you can be notified every time we go live. especially right here on Sunday Night NASCAR. We're glad that we've gotten this time to share together again.
It's a great time here. The Charlotte Roval, I know I say I would rather have the Oval, but it's tough. I think Charlotte's a good enough racetrack as it is. This racetrack is definitely a lot of fun as Paul Hill gets right to the back bumper once again. He's taking a lot on entry, and it's costing him a lot on exit. Really where the 58 is benefiting is being able to get to the gas quicker on exit of the corner, while Paul Hill is still trying to spend time slowing down.
Well, and Paul Hill's being very methodical about this return back to the lead. I mean, he qualified P1. He was on the front row, so at least for my money, he should be somewhere near the front of that table.
He should be, but the thing is, these types of races, really any race, unless you're watching Formula One, doesn't go the way that you expect it to. And even then, Formula One has had some bangers this year where the race doesn't go how you think it's gonna. I mean, that's what racing is all about. It's about expecting the unexpected. Paul Hill probably expected to be running up front all day, having qualified on the pole, but he hasn't had a whole heck of a lot of time running out front. Obviously, Pearson has led himself a good portion of this race. Ryan Fisher was up front for a while.
And Ryan Fisher was a good thing to take a look at earlier, because without really anything around him, he just kind of calmly pulled onto the rear chicane and called it a day.
Definitely an interesting circumstance. He wanted to get out here and lead some laps. Going to take the night off early. Is still got an insane battle for the race lead. Matt Long is 2.6 seconds back now. However, he is starting to lose a little bit of time to your race leaders as they are pushing it. When I say pushing it, I don't mean just, getting in a little bit deeper than you expect. No, Paul Hill is pushing that thing to the brink of its limit as late as he can possibly brake and still make these corners, doing everything he can to catch up to Pearson.
As Neil Pearson here leads Paul Hill, Matt Long, Bobby Anderson, Tane Hodison, we take a look. Just 10 cars on the lead lap, kind of where we were at the end of stage number 2. I spent a lot of time as a lap down car. I mean, on a road course like this, that has to get lonely to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a lot of time to think to yourself on these road courses. You get a lot of separation because the laps are longer. But you just got to keep clicking these laps away. You never know what's going to happen in front of you. And, Keith Long sitting here about 15 or so seconds away from the leader in front. Or rather, the leader behind him. He's 15 seconds or so in front of the leader. He's not having himself a bad day in terms of playoff drivers, as he has himself an off right there. The announcer's jinx speaks to itself. 15 seconds was a poor estimate. He's only got about 30 car lengths now and decreasing in front of the race leader.
I think that's one of the most convoluted things in racing. I feel like no matter what level you're doing this at, I mean, of course the IndyCar, it's easier for them to get in and out of it for the most part. But I mean, slug it with the 20 and see if we can get some lunch out of this place.
We go a little bit of an inopportune time for Pearson to catch up to that lap machine. He gets out of the way. Paul Hill closes in once again. Paul trying to get his nose as much clean air as possible going through this infield section. Able to stay relatively close to the 2 or so car lengths. Through these sweeping sections, it's really tough to keep the air on your nose, be able to stay within a car length or two of that car in front. That's why you see Paul Hill trying different lines there, locks up the brakes to avoid hitting the 58. That's going to cost him a ton of time as these guys set back up, go onto the open.
Yeah, believe me. I mean, Paul Hill is not just back here, trying to get up there. He's reloading. Right now, Neil Pearson has the edge. He's got the lead. And realistically, he's going to be the drum major and dictate the speed of the remainder of this race as we're closing in on 30 to go. But, Neil Pearson, he controls the pace of this race. Paul Hill, on the other hand, he just wants to get up there and be successful. And I think he knows that because of this being, the last week in the round of 12, this is a do-or-die situation for Paul Hill to be able to transfer to the round of 8. As all of a sudden, Pearson down pit road, that cycles Paul Hill back to the race lead.
I was just getting ready to ask you, Dave, with 30 laps to go, how soon do you make the jump to pit road? And I got to say, Neil Pearson might have the correct strategy here. He pitted just a couple of laps before the end of stage number 2, put him in the race lead. Now he's trying that same strategy, just a little bit of an undercut. We'll see if that's going to be the move for that 58, as now Paul Hill, he's out there by himself. He's got Matt Long within a second of him. He's able to get some clean air now. We'll see what kind of lap time he can put down. No pressure, or with nobody in front of him, rather, to have to break off him.
Well, Tanner Marty also down pit road. Neil Pearson already off. I think strategy-wise, when you're at a place like this and you know that it's going to be your money stop, 31 to go this time at the line. He knows that with 31 to go, he can make it on fuel, and he's a talented enough driver to keep it out there with rubber. At a racetrack like this, if you're one of those drivers, one of the first to come down pit road, eventually everybody does have to work their way past you. So I feel like this is probably the smartest move if you want to bring home that checkered flag later.
I would have to agree. Once again, Paul Hill elects to stay out. We'll see what kind of lap time he can put down. Nobody in front of him. Clean air. A 1:20.29. That's only about 3/10 off of what his fastest lap of the race was. Neil Pearson's fast lap was just a couple tenths quicker than that. Last time around, a 1:28.92, but that was including the pit stop, a shortcut through turn 1 that you get to take on pit road. That long. Was about 3 car lengths behind the 6. Doing a really good job of recovering once again. I believe he won stage number 1 from 4th place on the starting grid, right?
He sure did. And, here's the thing. When you're watching some of these drivers, especially the ones that we've all gotten to know and love over the last couple of years, you want nothing but the best for them, especially in this situation at this point in a race and at this time in the season. I know that I said it earlier that I don't like Joey Logano, and in real life, you don't like certain people. But when these are people that, you spend week after week watching and observing and talking to, off the air and on, all of a sudden, as non-biased as I try to be, I turn into a fanboy.
But he kind of becomes somebody that you want to see do well, and it's always tough to see problems happen with other drivers, but usually it's a part of racing. Thankfully, this has been a pretty clean race for all of these front runners. We have had some incidents, no major incidents, to take out multiple contenders at one time, so definitely thankful for that. Paul Hill continues to lead. Last time around, a 1:20.19. Neil Pearson, 1:19.92. So 3/10 quicker. Not a whole heck of a lot on this road course. It'll be interesting to see what Paul Hill can do on fresher tires.
Well, Paul Hill out here, he hasn't been down since lap number 46. In fact, let's pull up the pit strategy graphic here in the middle of your screen. Pretty much everybody here, except for Neil Pearson down on 77, Bobby Anderson on 76, everybody else, and Tanner Marty on 77. Now Matt Long going to change that as well here on lap number 80. They've all come down around that same time, so we're going to start to see this is going to be more of a strategy thing. What I'm afraid of is that Paul Hill, because he's waiting and he's out here and he's just logging laps and doing his job, that he may get a little bit too trigger happy and come down pit road a little too late.
We know how able he was to attack. He was chasing that 58. He's going to lose some time here. For both of these drivers, both 97 of Long and the 58 of Pearson.
Actually, now he's got a little bit of traffic just in front of him that's probably going to take some air off the front bumper. It's actually, no, the traffic goes way wide. It's going to be any sort of problem for your race leader. Currently got almost 14 seconds of a lead over Tay Hodison.
You know, the question becomes, you know, if he comes down now, I mean, Hodison came down 5 laps later than he did last time. Does Paul Hill have enough time to come down pit road and not lose that much track position?
I gotta believe if he's gonna come out, he's gonna come out not too far behind Matt Long. Gonna probably have a couple seconds between him and Pearson at this point. He stayed out a couple of laps. While Pearson is quicker, it's not super crazy. Pearson last time around was actually 0.2 of a second slower than Paul Hill. So it is entirely possible that, depending on traffic, Paul Hill could stay in front of Matt Long, and well, we'll have to see how close he's going to be to Neil Pearson. Right now, the gap is 28.2 seconds.
You know, in a normal racetrack.
Right now, our pit out position shows him being potentially just a little bit in front of Neil Pearson. Pearson is closing in once again.
You know, in a normal racetrack, once your gap is somewhere in and around that 27, 28, 29, 30 mark, that's a lap. So, you know, we can see the difference just in timing alone when you're out here on the Roval.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times you would say you lose 30 or 40 seconds on pit lane, but there is a bit of an advantage with this pit lane. You don't have to take this front stretch chicane. Guys, slow down a ton for that. You also get a little bit of a shortcut through turn 1. So you're going to have less distance to lose.
You know what? I never considered that before.
Oh, yeah. Kane Hodison comes into the pits, leaving Paul Hill out as your sole runner on this current set of tires.
You have to wonder if this is what Hill was waiting for, as Hodison going to slide into the old pit box here. We're going to watch that right side pop up, and here we go. 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast for the 93. We go back up here to Matt Long, who runs right now in 3rd position, about 2.4 seconds behind Neil Pearson. The two of these drivers, some of the most talented in the field, we've seen them both lead laps tonight. The question becomes, what does Paul Hill do, and when does he want to do it?
He's got to take fuel. However, going this long, you might be able to take a little bit less than everybody else. You know that tires aren't as big of a deal as they seem to, be at other racetracks. It's only 7/10 off, and he is coming into the pits this time. Got to slow it down to 40 miles per hour. Paul Hill gets her down. See what your race leader can do if the overcut is the call in terms of pit strategy.
You know, it's funny you should say that. Paul Hill's last fast time was 1:20, and the guys that just came down pit road are laying 1:20s.
Off isn't too crazy. If Paul Hill got the right time or right amount of time in clean air, was able to just log good laps, might be okay. A little bit of damage to the front. How he's running, they should be okay. 2 tires is the call for the 6 of Paul Hill. Neil Pearson able to get out in front of him for right now, but he's going to be able to slot in between Neil Pearson and Matt Long. 2nd place now for Paul Hill within 1 second, and man, we have seen this show before.
That was incredible. That was one of the fastest pit stops. I mean, again, 2 tires. And now oh, no!
Goes Neil Pearson for the race lead. Paul Hill makes contact, and Matt Long is going to get through.
On cold tires, Neil Pearson gets turned around. Paul Hill clips him, and Matt Long steals away the lead. Let's watch this again. Oh, my God.
If I don't know that was cold tires, he made his pit stop on lap 77, 6 laps prior to what Paul Hill made his stop on. I think this might have just been a situation of
realizing the pressure of the situation, I would love to get it on board with Paul Hill to see if contact was made. Matt Long, the winner of stage number 1, he's going to be the big beneficiary of this contact, or potentially lack thereof, this incident here in the infield road course. Oh man, that could have been a downshift, and yeah, that's a bit of left side contact for Paul Hill.
That could have been so much worse. I hope he changes his fire suit after that one, because if that wasn't a Code Brown moment, he's a braver man than me.
Oh, we've seen how Paul Hill was able to attack on the 58 of Neil Pearson. Pearson now 5.2 seconds off of this lead battle. Matt Long now takes over the race lead. He was strong in stage number 1. Stage 2, he was able to fight back. Here comes Paul Hill looking down to the inside. He's going to lose a little bit of time here. Sets himself back up to the inside as they set up for the oval. A lot of traffic in front of these guys, and Paul Hill right to the back bumper of that 97. Dirty South machine, that Ignite Wireless, Ford Mustang, doing a phenomenal job here throughout the course of this race, defending on Paul Hill.
And here comes Paul Hill at the rear bumper of Matt Long, but Matt Long doing everything that he can to hold Hill back, but Hill getting a great run out of that rear bus stop, now goes side by side and makes the pass for the race lead. Paul Hill now takes over the race lead, and it looks like they're going to be duking it out something fierce. There's Chris Custer just ahead of them as they come through the front chicane. Custer having to get out of the way. He does a little bit of landscaping just to avoid any mayhem.
He does. He's able to keep that car straight and on the racetrack. But man, what a move by Paul Hill. He saw the mistake from the 97 through the course of the bus stop and was able to cut down to the inside of the oval. Make that pass with relative ease, but I tell you what, Matt Long is not going to make this easy on him. He's going to keep the fight to the back of that 6. Matt Long has been strong throughout the course of this race, and Paul Hill is going to have himself a tough time holding on to this one.
Paul Hill in a fight for his playoff life. Now, where Paul Hill is right now in our standings, as I'm going to quick pull that up here on my other screen, Paul Hill runs in 5th position. Had he had an awful night, he could have been eliminated tonight, but instead, he comes in here and now leads laps, and we're at a point right now taking a peek at it. He could even be the one to get that transfer spot automatically and get himself out of Dodge and into the round of 8 for Las Vegas next week. Oh, Lord. What a run Hill got, and that left Matt Long in the dust.
Huge run coming up off, and Hill's getting really comfortable with those curbs. It seems to be working for him a little bit on exit. I know the leader has a bit of an advantage being able to get to the gas first, but I'm really impressed with how Paul is able to keep his wheels underneath him, not spin that car around with as much as he's hitting the curbs. Now you see Matt Long trying to get as close to that curbing there as possible. Still, just a little bit under par in terms of what Paul Hill is doing. So now we see Bobby Anderson trying to pass the lap down Alex Princeton.
Bobby Anderson runs in 4th position right now. Paul Hill still controls this race. 7 cars left on the lead lap. Next one up for Paul Hill to take care of here is Eric Papineau in the number 17 Valvoline machine. A little bit of a different paint scheme tonight here on the 17. I guess he thought maybe it was good luck, and so far he's been in the neighborhood of bad stuff but has not been victim of the bad stuff.
Not at all. I mean, that's kind of what you want to get out of this, is just a nice clean race through at the Roval. We know it's big time wild card, so if you can keep all 4 fenders on it, make it to the end, you're going to be able to make up some points. And obviously running 7th right now with a tremendous amount of drivers out of this race, it looks to me like maybe just the top 10 are still here. Chris Custer in 13th. He's trying to gain a couple of spots. Chris Cloud is still out here. Oh, Brian Nunemacher is out there as well. But the fastest lap of the race is just run by your race leader, Paul Hill. 1:19.57 as he increases the gap by over a second now to Matt Long in 2nd place.
Took the words right out of my mouth. This late in the race, and we're still seeing drivers with a few laps on their tires, just about 5 now on Paul Hill's tires. he's the one going fast time. I mean, how is that even remotely possible unless you're just that skilled of a driver? That's what I love about this league, because there's nobody who's going to put on a better show and work harder to make sure that this thing stays competitive.
Well, Dave, you did make a good point. You said about 6 laps or so on Paul Hill's tires. However, I do want to make a slight correction, because there are 6 laps on his right side. About 55 on his left, and he's still putting down laps like this. I mean, yeah, the tire fall off isn't really what these drivers were hoping to see, but to be able to continue on a run like this, continue to put down fast laps like that, this goes to show what the driver Paul Hill is. I mean, that's kind of Max Verstappen type of stuff, you know, when you've got those Formula One cars where the car just keeps getting lighter throughout the course of the race, and you know you're going to run your fast lap at the end. Exactly what that 6 is doing right now. He's just flicking them away and doing better each time.
Well, here we are, lap number 89. It's going to be 20 to go this time at the line. Dave Regal and Liam Ervig with you. We're going to take one final break here. We'll be right back with the finale at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. You're watching Sunday Night NASCAR on Sim Racing Media.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Back live here, Paul Hill has grown the lead to about 1.7 seconds. Matt Long not letting him get too far away. These guys are trading quick laps on the racetrack back and forth. The advantage has gone to Paul Hill more than it's gone to Matt Long in these last couple.
Yeah, you know, folks, we were talking about it off air, and, you know, Matt Long, who has a long history of getting it done in the later stages of these races here, he may have pushed a little too hard and too soon as, of course, we look further back here. I mean, Matt Long picked up the win at the Chicago Street Course, and he'd only downloaded that track, you know, literally an hour and a half before that race. He also picked up a win at Iowa earlier this season, as well as Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Oval, and that was actually Matt's first win of the season when we were here for the Oval race in the 600. So, you know, he's got the experience to get through this on the oval side. He knows how to get it done on a road course, but I think it's just that stage in the race where he may not have enough to get around Paul Hill this late.
Still got 16 laps to go. So we've got time for it to happen. And he's not really letting him get away. That gap is now 1.4 seconds. It was 0.2 in the favor of Matt Long that time around on lap number 93. Well, I mean, it's a trope as old as racing. Catching him is one thing and passing him is another. We saw that exact same situation with Paul Hill as he caught up to the back of Neil Pearson, who, by the way, is now 16 seconds off of the lead battle, continuing to lose time. And Bobby Anderson closing in.
Taking a look here, Keith Long a little while ago here in the 71. Check this out, Liam. Just brings it all the way around.
That is not the way you want to do the Roval. Good job by Keith to be able to get back going.
Yeah, definitely not going to finish well if you point in that direction.
The less wall you see directly in front of you, usually the better.
I think that's a general term, yep. I mean, I've heard. It's a rumor. Bobby Anderson here in the number 18 Interstate Batteries Ford Mustang, running in 4th position. He qualified in 9th. Biggest mover of the race isn't even on the lead lap. It's Alex Prinzen. He's up 15. He qualified in 22nd. And, you know, I mean, he's done the best that he can, but he's still down a pair of laps here early as he runs in 7th position. I'm sorry, 1 lap. He's the first car and only car down 1 lap. Long in the 71 is down 2. Papano's down 4. Nunemacher down 4. You know, and that's just in your top 10 as there are just 6 drivers left on the lead lap.
Yeah, normally if you're Alex Princeton, you're thinking, all right, man, I'm at a good spot. Caution comes out, I'm going to be able to get that free pass. However, with this road course rules that we have on iRacing, the cautions come out for cause. We can do stages. But Alex Princeton, he's going to more than likely wind up in 7th place unless something unless something happens around the field. Back up front, Paul Hill. Dave, go ahead. Yeah, Paul Hill, he's got about a 2-second lead over Matt Long, so increasing that gap. However, Matt Long that last time around, 0.2 quicker. I mean, they're trading these things back and forth. It's going more in the favor of Paul Hill. Matt Long has the capability to run quicker than that number 6 car. The question is he going to be able to take that long run speed and use it at the end, as we've seen him do so many times before?
Well, and watching here right in the middle of your screen, folks, I mean, this is the kind of thing that we see almost too often from time to time. You know, we see a couple of really good laps out of Long, who was about almost 0.2 of a second faster on 93, a little bit more than 0.2 of a second faster on 95. But then in that little mix of lap times, we see 3 that are in the red. That's not a good sign. You know, right now, Matt Long wants to be all in the green to start closing the gap as we work lap number 96. And as we close in with 14 and about to be 13 to go, these drivers have got to start feeling a little itchy and waiting to see what happens with the battle.
Matt Long, he's losing time on exits in these corners. He was quicker that last time around by about 1/10.5, maybe. But the thing is you know, he was blazing fast throughout the first half of that lap. Once they got to the backstretch, Kane, now he's got a ton of time that he's gained throughout the middle portion of this track. But once he got to the backstretch chicane, he lost a ton of time coming on the exit, and then once again on the front stretch chicane as they exited the corner. However, right now he is on a blazing fast lap. I'm not sure if Paul Hill made a mistake while we were taking a look there. He's right just an inch away from that inside tire barrier. But Paul Hill and Matt Long are less than 1.5 seconds, less than 1.25 seconds apart.
Paul Hill leading the way now. We're watching Matt Long try to... I mean, he's got to figure something out here. Now we've got 2 nice, consistent laps where Matt Long starts to close in on this gap, but he's still trailing by 1.05 seconds.
We're going to have 12 laps to get it done from here on out. What kind of closing he can do. He's within a second. Coming across the line, it was a 1:21 flat for Paul Hill, a 1:20.08 for second place Matt Long. Paul Hill not doing what he needed to there. It cost him a ton of time, and now Matt pushing through the infield portion of this racetrack. Paul Hill has a little bit of a lockup.
It's not often that we see some of these drivers, especially like Paul Hill, make those mistakes. But, you know, at this stage in the race, you're getting tired, you're starting to get a little exhausted. You're bound to smoke a tire every now and then.
Even Neil Pearson, who has been so strong throughout the course of this night, we saw him make a mistake, potentially an early downshift after Paul Hill came out of the pits. Cost him a ton of time, hurt his tires a bunch. He now sits in 3rd place. Good spot to be in. However, he's 17.5 seconds off of the race lead. Unless something happens between these top 2, pretty much out of contention to win this race.
Yeah, that's the truth, as Neil Pearson runs in 3rd position, Bobby Anderson in 4th. Tanner Martin and Chris Davis round out the rest of your top 10 with, Princeton, Long, and Papineau and Nunemacher. They all left out of their top 10. But Paul Hill still remembers to check the rearview mirror and keep himself as far away from Matt Long as possible.
Just a quick update for you. We have 14 drivers still on the racetrack in this race. All the way back to Chad Sander, who was taken 14th place away. Did that a little while ago, but Chad Sander in the 94, the last car on the racetrack. Currently sitting 18 laps down for the race leader. Just in case something happens as you see him get out of the way of the race leader to go 18 laps down.
That takes a special skill with 11 to go.
You know, you got damage on the race car. You try to stay out of the way. Take a look at the number 74, Chris Davis. DB Builders. Chevy Camaro working his way through the final chicane. A little bit loose there, a little swirly coming up off, but he's able to recover nicely. Go through the Calamity Corner we've seen all day today, upsetting race cars. 74 looks comfortable working through as he sits in 6th place.
Somewhat unrelated, have you done your iPhone update yet, sir? I'm going to go with what you just went with. What the hell was that?
I believe I did. I went up to the new operating system,
18?
but I'm not sure if there was another hot fix after that.
So the iPhone 8, iOS 18.0.1. Wow. What a great update. In the text messages and everything now?
Are you talking about the RCS stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff is nice.
It's kind of fun.
It's like iPhone users can message normal people. I shouldn't say normal.
You know, the Android users, if you will.
The peasants. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Android is fully customizable software that's appealing to a lot of people. Used to be my jam. However, I just like the more simple iPhone stuff. It gets my jam a little bit better. However, this is not an advertisement. Dave, you were making a point.
Well, you know what? But to your point, that this may not be an advertising plug. If Apple wants to sponsor us here at Sim Racing Media, feel free to reach out. The booth at simracingmedia.com. We could all use new phones. But anyway, I was playing with that, and what a cool little thing. To piggyback off of what you said perfectly, all of a sudden, iPhone is becoming more customizable, and it makes me a little excited.
About customizable, but it's definitely more.
Check your menus and stuff. But like if you go to edit your home screen and change your apps, you can even make a new color theme.
Check that out, but right now we've got to check out the race for the lead right now. The last time around, it was 1/10 in favor of Matt Long, 1.3 seconds to Paul Hill. We saw him get within a second just a couple of laps ago. Once again, that back and forth is hitting. Who's going to be able to get through these final 10 laps, 9 laps, and take home the checkered flag? I think, Dave, we're at a point where even if these two guys do make contact, as long as there's not significant damage, probably both go around and still stay in front of Neil Pearson in the 58.
Hey, I'm watching the battle box here in the lower right-hand corner of the screen for you folks at home, and 1.25 seconds the gap between Hill and Long. And it's getting better as Matt Long is somehow closing in on Paul Hill. They're starting to chase one another around like kids on a playground playing tag.
And I tell you what, man, if they could see what we could, or I'd like to be confident in it. There's certain spots on the racetrack where Paul Hill is definitely faster, but that is a spot right there where Paul Hill continuously locks up the brakes. Matt Long is able to take advantage of that. Might be able to get something going, but Paul Hill has been virtually unbeatable throughout the later portion of this race, especially in stage number 3. It's something to behold here as that 6 machine continues on, catching up to a couple of lapped cars. Another big lockup there out of the 6. He's going to go way wide and lose a ton of time to Matt Long.
Oh, boy. All of a sudden, Matt Long within 4/10 of a second, now 3/10 of a second, closing in on Paul Hill. Let's go on board here with Matt Long. Matt Long suddenly sees his opportunity, and he knows that he may not get another one this sweet. So he's going to be charging hard now for Paul Hill.
The wall just a little bit. That's going to upset the car a touch, but he's able to get through turn 1 cleanly. Look at how close this 97 is to the 6. Man, I know you're like me, Dave, and you're sitting here thinking 97 versus 6. That's Roush Racing.
Here they go. Contact. There's the contact.
Matt Long backs off. Paul Hill able to get through, and both drivers continue on. But wow, what a moment there. to the inside of the corner went the 97 of Long. Paul Hill came through and just kind of cornered his normal corner. Contact was made. Both drivers keep it straight, and they're both able to live to fight another day.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that that's part of the strategy here. You know, do you give yourself enough time? And I mean, 7 laps to go. At a place like this, that's still... Whoa, boy!
Wow! That was an insane moment there from Chris Custer. Locks up. Luckily for him, he's able to cut straight through your leaders.
And he just comes on race radio and goes, oops, sorry. What a run he had, and he couldn't woe this thing down. He took evasive action to avoid taking out Paul Hill. Paul Hill needs to buy that man a beer.
Tell you what, that 66 was locked up. I don't know if he could have taken any more action. Paul Hill just about onion rings in terms of this race. He's still got 3/10 of a lead over Matt Long, 3/10 of a second lead. Matt Long is catching him in a hurry in this infield portion of the racetrack.
As we pull away from Chris Custer, who has now calmed his heart muscle down, let's watch Matt Long as he's going back after Paul Hill. We're back basically to the same gap that we just had a little bit ago, 3/10 of a second, as he and Paul Hill are ready to go at it hammer and tongs tonight here with 6 laps to go.
I don't know if Paul Hill is listening to the broadcast, but that was the best run he's had through turn 7, I believe that was. Did a great job there. He didn't lock up the brakes like we've seen him do. He takes a lot of curb there once again. Matt Long going to try to take this run coming up off of the corner, but Paul Hill doing a great job on corner exit. 1 car length, however, 2 car lengths now as they work through the banking, and Matt Long's going to get himself a run coming up off of the corner. Isn't going to be enough to make the outbraking move work. He's going to take a wider run through the first part of that chicane.
Paul Hill and Matt Long still duking it out here. It's almost like Matt Long now has gotten up there. This may play. Ooh, this may play off of your earlier observation. You can get up here to some of these drivers, but passing them is a completely different challenge.
It's a tough thing to do, and especially at this track, so many sweeping corners. There's not a lot of huge braking zones to make a pass. The 2 big braking zones that I can think of going into single lane chicanes. It's tough. I think the Cup race today showed that another big braking zone like we have definitely make a difference. But for right now, it's just kind of tough to make that pass.
I think he's toying with him. I think Paul Hill is toying with Matt Long.
4 laps to go as they take the stripe this time around. How long do you want to play with your boot?
Well, you know, that's not a bad observation. How long do you want to play with your food? They're back out to a half second. I think Matt Long may have cooked his stuff just a little bit too soon.
Might be right, but there's 4 laps to go. These guys within a second of each other. 1 slight mistake out of Paul Hill, as we've seen him do a little bit earlier, could spell the difference. Matt Long just has to try to stay as close as he can, put as much pressure on the 6 as he possibly can. If he can find a good opportunity to make that pass, he's going to do it. I'll tell you what, right now, it seems like Paul Hill has everything made.
On board here with Matt Long. He's trying to get up there a half second. I think this is going to have to be go time for Long. He can get up there, make the pass, and then make this forward about 4 wide. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and into the rear bus stop. Here we go, rolling out. Paul Hill now leads Matt Long by about 3/10 of a second once again.
Paul Hill has continuously been one of the best at braking into that backstretch chicane. However, he continues to lose time on exit. That's allowed Matt Long to get back to the back bumper, get within just a couple of car lengths now. It'll be about a 10th quicker that time around for Matt Long. Maybe 2/10 as they came across the line. Matt Long all over the back bumper, making Paul Hill real nervous. And both of these drivers, with 3 laps to go, know what they have to do. Simply put, Dave, they've got to finish in front of the other one.
Yeah, and, you know, Paul Hill is now turning on those afterburners. He may have been saving. We've seen that so many times from him that that just simply may have been where that landed. Just to give you
to the leader. But that sequence of corners there, I'm sorry, Dave, to interrupt you. That sequence of corners, Matt Long was super fast. He's able to stay within just a couple of tenths here, just a car length and a half. Coming up off of turn number 2 of the oval.
Three to go, and Matt Long is giving it all that he's got to go after Paul Hill.
Hill is pushing with everything he's got, trying to prevent that 97 from getting a passing opportunity.
And as we come through the front chicane, crossing the start-finish line, 2 laps to go, the popsicle sticks are in the air.
Here comes Matt Long. He made a move to the inside of turn number 1, thought better of it.
Matt Long giving everything that he has as we tighten things back up here on the camera. 0.3 of a second, that seems to be kind of the common number that they're wow. Keeping between one, I can talk real good, huh?
I've had poor enunciation for my whole life. It's something about growing up in the Minnesota cold. I didn't get to fully flex all my mouth muscles. But
well, you were
here we are coming back. Yeah, here we are coming back onto the big oval, and this is as close as the 97 has been. A little bit more of a run for the 6 of Paul Hill, but Matt Long is not letting this go with just 2 laps to go. Coming to the white flag, Matt Long in the 97. Paul Hill in the 6. 2 old Roush numbers, 2 old Roush cars racing it out for a win here at the Charlotte Roval.
And as we roll out of turn number 4, here they come, Paul Hill and Matt Long back toward the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we are racing back to checkers.
Alex Brinson just in front of these guys. He's already 1 lap down, so I can't imagine he'll put up too much of a fight. But could that be the disruption in the air that Matt Long needs? Paul Hill locks up just a little bit, cuts down to the bottom. Matt's going to try to cut to the inside down this infield back straightaway. He's got the run. He's going to cut down. The 6 blocks. There's contact made. Into the back bumper of the 6 goes the 97 of Matt Long. He's going to try to set himself up on the right side, or the left side rather, but loses a ton of time. He's going to have to get through this corner real good to set himself up for one last passing opportunity.
Matt Long tries to mash the pedal through the floor coming through NASCAR turns 1 and 2 as we head on down the backstretch. He is chasing Paul Hill down because he wants that trophy, but as we come into that rear chicane, that bus stop there, that's going to be where Paul Hill makes his money here on the final lap at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Dave Regal and Liam Ervig with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Paul Hill now with full control as we see the checkered flag come out. He comes into the front chicane. One last breath from Long, but he can't get up there. Paul Hill wins it here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's followed at the line by Matt Long and Neil Pearson. Now coming out of turns 3 and 4, he will join them on the podium.
What a run, what a finish out of those top 2. And man, Matt Long gave it everything he could through the middle part of that racetrack. Just not quite enough to get the job done. And Paul Hill, after a phenomenal race, he was the dominant driver of the second half of this race, especially late in the third stage. He's able to get it done.
Paul
Pearson
Hill,
third, Anderson fourth.
Paul Hill showing us all how to get it done here at Charlotte on the Roval. What a finish he gave us. I'll tell you what, this is the stuff that highlight reels are made of.
I was on the edge of my seat for the entirety of that last run. I mean, once Paul Hill took over the race lead from Neil Pearson, I knew that Matt Long, he was going to be quick, but Paul Hill was able to keep that 97 behind him on numerous occasions after a couple of mistakes even.
And Liam, I believe you have with you now our race winner, Paul Hill, here in victory lane as he gets ready to burn it down on the front stretch.
Yeah, Paul, we'll go ahead and give you a moment to burn it down after a strong victory here today.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I did not think I was going to get that one, to be completely transparent with you.
I was going to say, just get the burnout here, man. And yeah, like you said, you didn't expect that. That was a phenomenal drive to keep Matt Long behind you for as many laps as he was within a second. Walk us through that final run of the race, and what did it take to keep the 97 behind you?
Man, everything I got. My car got some damage there when I ran into Neil on cold tires when he spun out, and it fell off a rock there on the last 15 laps, and I had no roll speed, no turn, and yeah, I had to kind of race him more aggressive than I normally do, but I really wanted this win. I felt like I had the pace and just kept getting in bad circumstances and did what I had to do. So I do want to shout out Matt for not dumping me there on that last lap. He had every chance to and every opportunity to, and I couldn't have really been mad if he did do it. So thank you for racing me clean. That was an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean, with you came off the pit lane there in second place, and Neil comes around just in front of you. You mentioned that the car wasn't handling too great after that damage, but the lap times really didn't show it. So kind of like, what was it like in the car after the damage? What did you have to change about your driving style?
The car just kind of lost front turn from the nose damage there. It didn't have the front downforce that it had previously, which I already had a little bit of nose damage, but it wasn't severe. I could still drive very comfortably. It was just only bad when I was behind people. But after I hit Neil, it knocked my toe out on my left front and did more nose damage. And basically, I was just driving a plow box. I was driving it through the back tires instead of the front and having to try to kick it around. She didn't really want to do it, but we held on and we got the win, which was surprising. I really thought Matt was going to get me there.
You guys, phenomenal battle throughout probably the last 25 laps of this race. Is there anybody else you want to thank for such a strong run here, getting the job done here in the playoffs at the Charlotte Roval?
Yeah, I want to thank all my teammates there that came in here. Ryan Fisher, who unfortunately got irreparable wheel damage. That's why he backed out. He got really bad damage, and so he just pulled off. He's not racing for any spots. Chad Sanner, I want to thank him. He kept me calm there whenever I got that wheel damage. Told me to shut up and drive, and him and Chris Custer, actually. So I want to thank them for kind of being my voice of reason there, playing a little bit of crew chief, calming me down there. And I want to thank, of course, my sponsor, Dent Slayer. Those guys help me get my job done every day outside of the sim. My buddy over at System Decal, who did the awesome paint livery you see here tonight. So this is my second win with this paint scheme. It's been good luck for me, so I want to shout him out. And, of course, you guys up in the booth and Chris Cloud for putting on the league.
Man, and before we let you go, since you brought it up, we'll ask Matt Long the same question. But you brought up Chris Custer. Do you need a new pair of shorts?
Yes. Oh, man. He felt so bad. He was distracted. He was trying to be out of the way as he could, and I think he got a little distracted watching the race in front of him. And, thankfully, he avoided us. That was definitely not intentional. He felt really bad about that.
Once again, Paul Hill, congratulations on the race win here at the Charlotte Roval. We'll be talking to you again soon, I'm sure.
I appreciate it. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you for that, Liam. As what a great interview with our race winner, Paul Hill. Second up here on the podium, I've got him now, Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Matt, it's Dave. You got me?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
Man, I'm good up here in the booth, but, now Liam just wrapped up his interview with Paul with this. I'm going to ask you right off the bat. Chris Custer, did you need a new pair of shorts when you saw that going on around you?
Oh, my God. I sure did, man. Yeah, he come flying in there like I think he forgot the turn was there. That could have been really bad, but it all worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I think this race was great from start to finish. Of course, it's always nice when we don't have cautions, but biggest question is, it looked like you were pushing really hard in the twilight of this race. Did you push too hard too soon, or what was the deal? Why couldn't you get up and around Paul Hill?
Yeah, I would say as the race went on, I got faster and faster, and I got more confident with the car and the track and everything. So I was at my fastest at the end for sure. And, we were running pretty even lap times, and, he started making a couple mistakes. I'd make a couple mistakes, but those last 5 laps, yeah, I got up to him. It's just really hard to pass here. Like, Paul's solid, and, yeah, I couldn't really find an opportunity under braking. I was a little bit faster in that infield section, so I tried to, make something happen at the end there, but it was just really hard to pass, and I didn't want to go up there and rough him up too much to get by him. So, all in all, we needed a good point stay. I was 18. I missed a race in this round of the playoffs, so I think we did enough to advance today. So that was the goal.
All right, buddy, listen, excellent observations and analysis. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done on the 97 team?
Yeah, it's just always just want to thank my teammates, man, Neil and Bobby and Dyson. They're a blast to race with, and I get better because of those guys. And Chris for putting on the league, and you guys for putting on the show. And I also want to thank Paul, man. That was some of the most fun racing I had in a while. So props to him for running a good race.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, we will see you next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good luck, and we will see you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
And last but certainly not least, Liam, I believe you're down on pit road with him now, Neil Pearson.
Yeah, Neil, you came home with a 3rd place finish. Not really where you wanted to finish after such a strong run to start this race. But walk us through the start of your day. You were able to take advantage of the issues with the 0-4 and take home that 2nd stage win. You had a super strong car. What was it like out here on the Charlotte Roval?
The car was good. I just couldn't work out how to keep the heat out of the fronts. So like I'd do a fast lap, and then the next couple of laps, the front end would just slide a little bit. So then I'd have to slow it down, and basically it was just that the whole race. And I wasn't able to get really good rhythm because of it. So I was a bit all over the show. I think if I hadn't have had that half spin in the 2nd stage, the final stage after the pit stops, maybe I would have been able to hold off Paul and Matt. Because I had pretty good launch out of the corners, and that's why you really need to block, into the braking zones. And, it would have been interesting, but I messed it up. I messed up my gear shifts and went down to first by accident and locked the rears, and around she went, and then Matt and Paul just disappeared off into the distance.
I do have to correct myself because you made a pit stop right before the end of stage number 2. So that set you up with stage number 3 in the race lead. Didn't get the stage win, but you led a lot of laps here tonight. What was it like racing around Paul? It seemed like he was able to chase you down, but not be able to get around you.
Yeah, Paul, he's a super clean driver, so I knew as long as I got the launches out of the corner, he wouldn't do anything silly. Yeah, so I saw him pit with like 4 to go in the stage, so I was like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. So I short pitted just so I could, control the race. And luckily, I got out in front of him in the stops, and, I really think I would have had him, but is what it is. You can't make those sort of errors with the caliber of the drivers, around me. So is what it is.
We're able to recover for a 3rd place finish. Super strong run for you today all day. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to for running so strong?
Yeah, just you guys for the broadcast, my teammates, Matt and Bobby. Matt drove a hell of a race to get 2nd, managed to come from like 18 points down out of the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure he secured a spot for the next round. So, that's awesome for him. My Australian teammates, Rocco for the setups, MP Designs for the paints, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max, Chris for the league. It's good fun, and yeah, everyone else for a good, clean race.
Some stuff, man. It was super great to watch you out there, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon with the speed you had tonight. Congratulations on a podium finish, Neil.
Thanks, Liam. You guys have a wonderful day.
You as well.
Well, folks, that's our podium. And, of course, I'll tell you what, Liam, we got to watch some really great racing tonight. These drivers figured out how to put on one heck of a show at the Charlotte Roval as, of course, he's going to go disappear now. And, you know, all things considered, I think these drivers all deserve one heck of a round of applause for getting done for accomplishing what they did tonight. That's for sure. Before we get out of here, we want to take one final look at our results from Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval. Paul Hill brings home the checkered flag. He's joined on the podium by Matt Long and Neil Pearson. Bobby Anderson and Tanner Marty make up the rest of your top 5, while Chris Davis, Alex Prinzing, Keith Long, Eric Papineau, and Brian Nunemacher round out your top 10. Chris Klog comes home in 11th with Tane Hodison in 12th. 13th and 14th go to Chris Custer and Chad Santa, respectively, while Cody McCorkle, Larry Miles, Ryan Fisher, and Ron Fitting finished 16th through 18th. Diego Rodriguez and Jeff Carson round out your top 20, while John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania comes home 22nd. Sean Rogers in 23rd. Ryan Samuelson in 24th with Kavaja Holt and Logan Giesbrecht. Just the 26 drivers who took the green flag here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and making us a part of your evening here on Sim Racing Media. We are more than happy to call anything that you have. If you're a member of an organization that's about to have a charity race or whatever the situation may be, we are here for you, and we appreciate everything that you folks do for us. So I just want to, thank you from our team to yours there at home. So before we get out of here, just remember that every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.